All right, welcome in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. First day of school for GMAC, so I guess he's not going to be here first couple segments of the show. Hopefully. Alabama does name Ty Simpson starting quarterback, and I think this is something we've all known, something we've all thought, but I want to get your thoughts on it. Is it good that it's happening now? Is it good that it's Ty Simpson? There are some folks that are a little bit more concerned about the number 2 quarterback now and what that's going to look like and what that situation is going to be moving forward. So I think it's probably good that Ty Simpson can at least publicly know that that's the situation, publicly know that that's where they are, and he can begin to assert himself, which he already has, or else he wouldn't be named starting quarterback. So I think it's there are a lot of people that kind of want Keelan Russell to be the guy. I don't think there's anybody else that the Alabama fans have been sort of rooting for, hoping for as far as being the guy early on. But Ty Simpson, somebody that's been in this program, coach's kid, has now been in this system for almost 2 years, and you would imagine has everything that this offensive coordinator that has come in, Ryan Grubb, wants, and that his head coach wants as well. And I think he's a guy that's going to prove a lot of people wrong. I think based on what he's got around him, he doesn't have to go out and be a superstar. He's not going to have to go out and make incredible plays. If he just plays within the system, within the offense, and I think he's got enough arm strength to make the throws that they're going to want. Now, I will say this offense requires a lot of throws outside the numbers, some down the field, accuracy in the quick game. They're a little different in some of the reads in the quick game, but I think Ty Simpson has the ability to have a good year. Now, are they just going to stretch the field constantly? Is he going to have a Penix-type year? I don't know if that's going to be the case. I think, number one, they're going to have the offensive line and the backs to be successful. And if you remember that Washington season with Penix when they went to the playoffs, Dylan Johnson didn't really begin to sort of assert himself until a little bit later. So I think they went in uncertain about how good the O-line was going to be. And they also went in a little bit uncertain that the receivers and Penix together were going to be sort of what they were. But Dylan Johnson was an absolute hammer and somebody that when you looked at them later in the year, they were a different football team, a lot more downhill. I mean, he didn't run for 100 yards until 5, till week 6, and then didn't go for 100 again until 3 weeks later when he went for 256 against Southern California on the road. And then obviously he had 152 against Oregon late, and that's when they really began to be, I think, more of a downhill run team. So the offensive identity can shift. It can be different. I think they'll probably lean on the run game a little bit earlier this year. The tight end stuff does concern me a tad, just about are you going to be able to add any bonus bigs to be able to help out that way, to help get a little bit of extra oomph if you want to, if you need to. But I understand we haven't seen a ton. I understand that we haven't seen a lot of game action from Ty Simpson, but he's got the credentials to be a guy without multiple starts or a ton of starts to be able to go out and get that done just because of where he's been, the offensive coordinators he's been around. And let's just think about what's going to be around him. I mean, you got Parker Brailsford back at center, number 1. That's somebody who can come to the line of scrimmage, who can set the defense, who can give you the point, who can establish that linebacker right away and then set everything as far as what we're responsible for, what you're responsible for. If there are any issues up front, he should be able to clarify it. Then obviously he's going to have a massive left tackle that's going to be tough to get around. That's going to help keep the pocket clean the majority of the time, you would think. We all hear good things about the progress that's being made on that side of the offensive line this offseason. Now, no Tyler Booker, but you've got some guard depth, even though we heard Coach DeBoer say that some of the guys were a little bit dinged up in the scrimmage over the weekend. So that's something you'd be a little bit concerned about. But I feel good about Ty Simpson. I mean, I think Jam Miller's going to have a breakout year. You've got Jeremy Bernard. You've got Ryan Williams that you know you're familiar with. Jalen Hill could kind of become that deep threat for this offense that I think a lot of people have been waiting for him to sort of morph into and become. And you got Isaiah Horton, who I think can be somebody that also hurts you down the field. So Ty Simpson doesn't have to come into the season and think that he's got to do a lot of the heavy lifting or he needs to be the guy that puts the team on his back. I think Ty Simpson comes out, runs this offense, gets them into the right plays, right calls. They can lean on that offensive line and those running backs a little bit early, and then they'll be able to be a team that goes out and potentially pushes for a playoff spot. Paul Finebaum could not join us yesterday. He is going to join us today, and as you know, each and every week he's brought to you by our friends at Craneworks. appreciate the time this morning. Make it up for a little bit for yesterday. Ty Simpson starting quarterback in Alabama. What exactly does that say to you about this football team, specifically that it's being done now?
I think it's good news. I think it's the least surprising story of the offseason, now the preseason. But I think it shows that most instincts were correct, that he was the right quarterback. Caleb, a long time. Program is longer. It does three things here, and so we all you that this team is.
Paul, I is kind of getting way spot, but legitimate. Where's Alabama this season?
Legitimate now. Low yesterday. Modern time. Well, 6 weeks. I'm like it, and I'm rehab leaving. It's plugged some since Kalen where those were.
Hotline joins. When you go to the other over the weekend, frustrated, but feels like the vibes are fairly positive in Auburn right now. A lot of those around quarterback and he allowing his defensive coordinator to do a little bit more, it sounds like, this last Saturday in scrimmage. Where are you on Auburn as we approach the season?
I'm pretty high, and I was in Alabama all weekend, and I heard some of the same things that everybody else was hearing. And right now, you said the word vibe. What you want right now, 2.5 weeks before the first game, you want positivity. You don't want concern. You don't want a lot of negative thoughts coming into your mind. And I think Hugh Freeze has been very careful, very cautious. He did not want Jackson Arnold's confidence a wreck before he goes on the road in that opening game. But I think he's in excellent shape, and quite frankly, I think a lot of things are tilting in Auburn's direction. But Auburn's different than Alabama. They don't quite have the roster, although they have the best roster in years. They don't have, I don't think, as much momentum, and they also have a much more difficult opening game. And some people are saying Alabama's playing at Florida State. I don't care. I don't respect Florida State. I don't think they're a factor, but I do think Baylor is extremely good, and I think that is why I have some trepidation in going all in on Auburn until that Friday night has come to an end. Because if Auburn can win that game, Cole, then watch out. I think Auburn then, gets a win that many weren't sure about, and you start looking at that very difficult September schedule leading into Georgia in October, and going, okay, they're gonna have to figure out a way to deal with A&M and Oklahoma. Can they split those two? Can they steal one against Georgia at home? And then suddenly you've got the momentum leading into the second half, which I think is a lot more favorable. And I'm including Alabama in there. I know what I just got through saying about Alabama, but I've also been in that stadium, as you have, many, many times. And I'll save you the cliches, but if Auburn has momentum going into that, then we have a whole different conversation.
Is there a team, because we talked to you since SEC Media Days and maybe mainly at SEC Media Days, of this sort of middle of the pack in the SEC, how it feels like there's 8 to 12 teams that could finish 5th and 8 to 12 teams that could finish 11th or 12th. Is there a team that you feel more positive about that's heading in the right direction, and maybe the opposite, a team that you thought was in the middle of the pack was going to be right there with those other teams that now you feel like they're most likely not going to be there this season?
I really like A&M, and that is not a novel selection, but I continue to be impressed with Mike Elko. The school that I'm probably a little concerned about right now, relative to the ranking, Cole, is Florida. And I feel like it's 2024 all over again with what I'm about to say, but I just don't like their schedule. I hate their schedule, and I think even though it looks like they've survived the Lagway conundrum with his health, and that's still something you have to watch. And I know what they have on the team, and I've heard about this guy and that guy as you have. But you start facing those games, and that 4-game stretch, when the road game at Miami looks to me like the easiest game, that means you better watch out.
It's definitely looking that way. I think that when you look at some of these teams, Paul, and where they maybe could be, where they couldn't be, schedule has to be the direction that you go. We talked a lot about Missouri yesterday and how I just don't feel like anybody's giving them any chance to really move ahead of some of these other teams in the middle of the pack. And you look at that schedule, I mean, that to me, more than anything else, shows you that they at least have a great opportunity to surprise us and maybe be ahead of the pack the first half of the season, one way or the other.
I agree. I mean, we were talking around the newsroom yesterday. Which team outside of the top 25 should be in there? And it was Missouri, and it was based on that schedule. They get by Kansas, and I'm pretty sure they will, even though that's going to be a really big game. Then they've got a pretty good path as long as they turn some of those 50-50 games, and I think they're capable once they get the quarterback situation in good shape. But you know this because you've been there a lot more than I have. But Drinkwitz has done a very good job. He just lost a game late in the year that has taken some of the shine off. But their record is fantastic.
Paul, we were talking yesterday just about not only Missouri but LSU and everything happening with this Garrett Nussmeier situation, and Brian Kelly somewhat sarcastically yesterday trying to put it to rest. Does that open your eyes to maybe what really might be happening or what's going on with that football team, or should we just kind of take what Brian Kelly says, move on, and continue thinking that they're going to compete for a national title?
Well, I think the problem Brian Kelly has right now is what he says at these news conferences is competing with what people are watching on Netflix. And which Brian Kelly is talking, the one that was talking before the season or the one that's talking now that the season is here. And I say that somewhat jokingly, but he definitely is a big conversation piece after the Any Given Saturday came out. But I feel pretty good about that. I mean, when you say from an injury standpoint, 0.5 on a scale of 0 to 10. I mean, that's essentially saying it's no big deal. It's waking up in the morning and you're a little bit sore, and then you go in and get treated. I don't think it's a big deal, but I think what it really shows is just how precarious the LSU schedule is as well. First game speaks for itself. Then all these other games, including that Florida game a couple of weeks later. So I just think that there's it's a little bit like Auburn, except the stakes are higher. They get out of Clemson with a win, and expectations are going to just rocket around the world. And if they lose, it's probably the easiest prediction in the world what Labor Day morning is going to be like when it comes to LSU fans. I mean, they will be in a complete meltdown.
Are you more surprised that Texas has never been number one in the preseason of the AP poll, or more surprised that they're number one and they're an underdog to Ohio State?
I was pretty shocked because, you just have to think of Texas. But then again, Cole, every time we go out there, we realize how few national championships they've won. And it's pretty stunning for a program that boasts itself as at the epicenter of college football. As far as being an underdog, not to sound like Danny Sheridan early in the morning, but being an underdog 2.5 weeks out doesn't really matter. I thought they'd be a favorite going into that game. I think Ohio State's getting a lot of action because of who they are. I think that line will come down, and what's it going to be on the morning of the game when the real bettors come in, not just people who look at polls and go, oh my goodness, they're playing at home, they're going to win the game. People that bet Cole, no, very little. I mean, otherwise they wouldn't be wasting time betting. They'd be in France right now.
All fair, Paul. You mentioned that the Netflix documentary. Who's coming away a winner in that? Who's coming away a loser in that? I've only seen the first, I think, 3 episodes, and I know you wanted to watch yourself, so because you're featured so heavily in it. So I'm sure you've seen them all.
Yeah, I'm at a disadvantage because I just started watching it. So I saw the Kelly episode. That's I mean, all I saw was Brian Kelly cursing the first episode that I watched. I think in many ways Diego Pavia has been the story. And he continues to make himself the story. But what's wrong with Vanderbilt being a big topic of conversation? And for all the criticism that he has gotten about some of the things that he has said, even on Netflix, and even what he told us the other day. So what? I mean, do you think he really cares if he doesn't complete this mission in the playoffs? I mean, Vanderbilt is taken seriously, and I think that's great.
No, I think it's because I told you, Paul, one of my biggest surprises at media days was every time I would bring up Vanderbilt in the interview, the interviewer would just kind of say, "Well, yeah, they're going back to being Vanderbilt this year," and I'm like, "Well, hold on a second, I don't really believe that's the way it's going to be for them this year." So I think it's fair for them to get a little bit of shine because I don't think they're just going away and going to be a team that people can just show up, put the ball down, walk through a game, and get a W like maybe they could in the past.
Well, and I think to Clarkley's credit, I mean he's been preaching from the same hymnal since he got there, and if he can just back it up, and this is Vanderbilt's mission this year: back it up, don't fall back, because people will not take you seriously if you do. And so this is their moment. And by the way, they worked really hard to get to this moment, and they're not easy to get to when you start every season ranked number 16th in the SEC.
There you go. Paul, great stuff as always. Appreciate you making up the visit from yesterday, and we'll catch up again next week.
Paul, enjoyed it. Thank you.
All right, there you go. Paul Finebaum joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Thanks to our friends at Craneworks. He's with us each and every Monday normally, but having to make it up on Tuesdays the last couple of weeks, which is no problem there. And I want the Netflix documentary. Some of you have seen it. Some of you haven't. Who are the winners and losers of it? We mentioned a little bit of it about a week ago. Go into a little bit more of that, and then get your thoughts on Ty Reports being named Alabama starting quarterback. 205-834-9450. If you want to get in, you can text or call in there. Also, 800-239-9569. Tweet into the show. Does Ty Simpson being named the starter now give you more confidence in what Alabama could be this upcoming season and why? We'll discuss that next right here on Mac and Cube in the morning. Welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll talk more Ty Simpson as Alabama's starting quarterback. Also, ESPN's Netflix's SEC documentary. What is the name of this again, Damien? 3 episodes. I don't know the name of it.
Any given Saturday.
That too. Alabama heat and humidity can be brutal, but don't let it affect your home and family. Keep them comfortable with an affordable Trane cooling system. They've been recognized as America's most trusted brand 11 consecutive years. And then just stop a Trane. Have you finished this? Have you watched it all?
I have seen every episode.
How many are there?
7.
Oh, I got a ways to go. I didn't think anything less of Brian Kelly because he was cussing, as Paul stated. I don't think Paul thought less of him. I think he's maybe just a little bit surprised because we don't hear that a lot from him in certain situations. I thought it was good to see him kind of in there coaching a little bit and kind of getting after guys in a little bit of a different way. He's a different personality. And I think one thing that would help Brian Kelly, and maybe this doesn't matter, but would be more features on his background and where he's from and who he is, because I do think a lot of people look at him and think of him as some sort of fake or phony or he's trying to be something that he's not. But they did a little bit, they gave you a little snippet of him going into politics after college. And I think that's a part of what has sort of shaped him and molded him. I think it's a part of the reason he talks the way he does sometimes, says some of the things that he does. So I think he could benefit from that. I thought the weirdest part was he's sitting there talking to his agent about his quarterback going to the NFL or not, which that has nothing to do with Brian Kelly. It's just strange that that's a conversation that a college football coach today is actually going to have. Think about the fact that you're trying to negotiate with the guy that negotiates for you about whether or not your quarterback should come back or he should go ahead and go to the NFL. Just a strange place to be at that point in time. But I'm trying to think of who really comes out of this as a loser. I haven't seen anybody so far that I look at and have a different perception of. Now, I said last week that, listen, I love Diego Pavia, the competitor. But I said it last week, I'll say it again. This is becoming a little bit of an act. Some of the things that are said and some of the things like the continuously trying to be over the top, it's coming off pro wrestler-ish. And if it does continue to become a shtick or an act, I think people will view it that way, and I think there's a chance that becomes a distraction. Not that it is now, not that it already has been, not that it was last year, not that I guarantee it will be this year. But I do think more people are going to start coming to the realization that, okay, these are just things he says because he knows people are going to react to it, and then the reaction will become different, and that could be a distraction for that football team.
See, I think like once you continue the documentary, if you find the time to finish the last 4 episodes, it will make you, I guess you'd say, question the yin and yang of Clark Lee's demeanor and Diego Pavia. Now, I will say, I knew Clark Lee had some rough edges. Like he
played fullback.
Yeah, and it comes off, but it's a very almost like assassin approach.
He's calculated with it.
Yes, extremely. And the fact that you can tell that this team really rallied behind him in 2024. Shane Beamer, he's in it a lot. You followed the South Carolina, just the highs and lows and kind of just everything that was going on with the season last year. He's definitely a winner. And I would say that I think Vanderbilt.
But see, I've had people say that Shane is not a winner in their eyes.
See, I thought he was.
They think Shane's annoying. They don't like they think it's an act. They don't like it.
No.
I'm just telling you what some people have shared with me because I'm with you. I think that is him.
Yes.
I think he's genuine. And if it's annoying, that's fine. If you don't like it, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But I don't think he's doing anything different than he would in a lot of other instances.
He has the focal point of his locker room. Like, one thing you cannot deny is that those players will do anything for Shane Beamer. That's how I kind of took away from it. It's like, nah, these dudes rock with Shane Beamer all the way.
I think he lets his coaches coach. And so I think his staff is appreciative of him for that. I think his staff reacts to him well because of that. And I think that his players understand that he has been the same probably since the moment that they met him. So therefore that's why they respect him. That's why they want to play for him. That's why they want to do good things for him. It's why the team has had some success because he's not out there being one guy 1 minute, another guy the next minute. So you might not like his demeanor. You might not like the way he approaches guys, talks to guys. But I think his team appreciates it because it's consistent. And I think the same thing with Clark Lee. I think Clark Lee is very calculated. Clark Lee is the most thoughtful head coach I think I've ever been around. And I mean that. I mean, you heard me ask him at media days, Damian. I don't know how he remembers all these things that he says. I mean, for every situation, he's got a quote, and then he's got 2 quotes off of that he goes to, and like he's got his daily quotes, and he's got his daily mantra, and his weekly mantra, and his monthly mantra, and I don't know how he remembers them all. And I'll say this: a year ago, or well, not last year, but before last year, so I guess a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, 3 years ago, it was too much. Because you would talk to him, and I think he was trying to inject these statements, philosophies on warrior mentality into all of his guys. And even in TV meetings, we would walk away being like, that was cool for 5 minutes, but I was lost after that. And some of them I was trying to write down because I have a book of quotes from coaches and important people that I'm keeping for my children. I'm just going to give it to them one day. It'll actually probably be given to them for me when I'm gone. But the goal is to say, hey, here's all the quotes that I heard over time that are pretty cool that I like, and just, trying to live by these. And I couldn't keep up. I mean, I was just sitting there like, hold on. When you said like warrior will react to what was that again? Because it's one after another after another. Well, I think it's one of the things that I think the guys who came in this new staff with him have helped him with is like, hey man, you gotta stop trying so hard. Just be yourself because you are enough. Like you're football. You have great football acumen. You can communicate it well. The guys like you. They like your personality, but stop trying. I think he was trying to teach instead of coach.
Makes sense.
And by doing that, it became more philosophical. It became a little bit more thoughtful. And he told us last year he had to back some of that off. He's like, I couldn't do it. He's like, I had to tone it down because I think a lot of people were looking at me. And like you said, the yin and yang with Diego Pavia, if he can continue, I will say this about Diego Pavia. If Clark Lee continues having success, and by success, I mean winning seasons, that be it 7-6 or 9-10 win seasons, Diego Pavia will be the most important part of that, not because of what he was on the field, helping him win games and then helping, like we always talk about, whether it was Julio Jones, whoever, like kind of helped the cycle get going for Saban, whatever it was, like not even like that, where people saw him on the field and said, I want to go be a part of that. I want to go play for that guy. Not even that. What it will be is that Diego Pavia was the guy that came in that probably did not carry himself exactly the way Clark wanted him to, but that staff and Diego Pavia helped him realize, I got to back off on some of the things that I think are the most important parts of my program, because now what I realized is the most important part of my program is that my best players are playing on Saturday. And if that doesn't happen, we're probably going to lose. There's a good chance we're going to lose games. And I don't want to lose games. And so, I think it's something Jerry Kill has really helped him with. I think Tim Beck has helped him with. Those guys have been around a lot of college football, been head coaches multiple places. And I think Jerry Kill just basically said, hey, man, if you want to go make them run stadiums, that's fine. If you want to make them show up for 3 a.m. workouts, that's cool. Don't suspend him for the first half. He can't miss a game. And it's not just Pavia, but I think it's multiple guys where he's like, I understand that that's against your rules and you don't like that, but he's not out there robbing liquor stores. They're not carjacking people on the weekends. Make sure they still play in the game. I can remember we had a wide receiver one time that was one of our best players and just flat out wouldn't go to class and had to do punishment work in the mornings. And this was the week of the Florida game. And every morning that week, he was at the stadium running stadiums, and he was cramping up in practice every day. And you're just like, okay, well, he's not going to play because he can't practice. He played. And we got smoked, but he actually had a pretty good game. And if we were going to have any chance in that game, we had to have him. So I think that was Tuberville saying, handle the punishment here, but we're not going to dole out the punishment on Saturday unless it's something egregious to the point where we have to make an example about you, not only to our program and our university, but to all of college football. Otherwise, dress out on Saturday, get your rear end ready to play, help us win a football game. That's what Diego Pavia has done for Clark Lee, and I think a couple other guys. I think Jerry Kill helped him with that. And it's interesting that you mentioned that yin and yang because it's there. It's very real. But I also think it has helped Clark Lee tremendously to say, this is not the military. Not everybody's going to be right in line with the dress code and how you act and what you say and where you say it and how you say it and where you go. But no matter what, similar to the military, when it's time to go, we need everybody going. I mean, the military is not going to get mad at their best marksman and say, don't put him out there. We don't like the way he's been talking. He's been too goofy in meetings. Like, he's our best marksman. Let him take the shot and make sure he's in position to do it. So I think that's the mindset that Clark Lee has had to take. But I'm with Paul. I think they need the run. And I think they deserve the run. And not just because of what they did last year, but they're going to be a dangerous football team this year. Y'all got to get used to that and get ready for that. They're not going away. I mean, we mentioned Bruce Feldman's freaks list. They got a tight end that's 6'5" with a 39-inch vertical leap that can run.
I don't think people understand.
Miles an hour on the GPS. Like, you tell me who's matching up with him because I don't know him. I haven't seen him play.
It's
safety, wild. Linebacker, edge, corner. You're putting a corner on that guy? Because we're throwing fades all day, and I bet he'll go up and get them. We'll continue talking about that program and Ty Simpson being named starting quarterback at Alabama next, right here on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. We're talking winners and losers from any given Saturday, SEC football, Netflix documentary. If you hadn't seen it, I think it's a fun watch. I've heard some people say that they didn't enjoy it because they didn't get anything from it. But I feel like I learned a few things, at least got to know a few guys in different ways. Alabama heat and humidity can be brutal. Don't let it affect your home and family. Keep them comfortable with an affordable train cooling system. They've been recognized as America's most coaches. Losers, if you've seen it. 239 WJOX. You can always be a part there. And 450 is have of a bowl team post the way that they wanted it. I'm trying to think if there's another. It was Shane Beamer, and he was just, and I thought it was how things conclude and where things are at certain points of a season, because we forget about that part of it's hard to lose. It's not fun to lose, and we focus so much on the winning and focus so much on the good teams, and then we just kind of throw the bad teams out. And you forget the emotional, mental part of it that comes with it of, I hate this. And watching those coaches talk about it that way, I hated it for them. I hated listening to a coach have to address 90, 100, 18 to 22-year-olds, 25-year-olds now, of saying, hey, we didn't get it done for you. And this is probably it. And you know it's it for some of those guys. You know it's it for some of the guys in the locker room, whether they're going to try to play in the UFL or try to be an undrafted free agent, whatever it is. Some of those guys are not going to play football again. I was one of them. So it's not fun having that conversation, and we totally gloss over that part of it. But hearing some of those coaches take the responsibility, and I do think it's cool to kind of hear them have the confidence of, hey, this is going to be right, and then I hate that you're not a part of it being right, and you had to be a part of it being like this right now.
It was brutal. Like the last episode, one of the last episodes dealing with the rivalry games, and it's Ole Miss and Mississippi State in the Egg Bowl. And you would have thought building up to that week, like Mississippi State was coming in undefeated. Like, I mean, he had that team rolling. And if you go back and remember, the game was really competitive, and it's just a couple mistakes end up, flipping things in Ole Miss's favor. But after the game, like Jeff Lebby's fighting back tears of just like, I hate the fact that we had to endure this. Like, It is, I mean, players are crying, they're upset, it's hurting them. He's just like, you don't even realize that, man, the people that are going through this right now, you're building it up towards the future. Like, I want you to come back and be part of this success. You're always part of this family. It's just, I hate the fact that you went this entire season essentially without that good feeling of getting, a big time win. Because, I mean, it was, I came away very impressed. Like, I really looked at Jeff Lebby, and I already thought he was a great coach, but it just humanized him more of like, man, I would run through a brick wall for that guy.
Yeah, always wondered too, because I was kind of in that spot of how many coaches are going to stick to that. 800-239-9569 if you want to get in, discuss this topic that we're on, the Netflix documentary, Any Given Saturday, discussing and showcasing SEC football. How many coaches actually follow through with that? How many coaches actually say, hey, that was the group that helped put us on the map. We're not going to forget about them. Because Tuberville's pretty good about it with my senior class for a while. Like he gave us all a brick in the little walkway there at the end of Tiger Walk. And, I remember he would reference us in the media some and say things. And when we were back, he would reference it. Maybe as good of a job as a coach can do. I don't know. I don't know what a coach can really do for the group of guys that come in and help you get it back on track, but that season wasn't great. And we did win the West my final year, picked to finish second to last, I believe. So we did have that to kind of hang our hats on. Did get to the SEC championship game. Played Michigan in the Citrus Bowl. Great game, went toe-to-toe, but weren't able to be victorious there. So people will look back on that season and probably say, specifically with Mississippi State last year. I mean, a lot of people are going to look at the year and say, yeah, they didn't do anything. We would like to forget them. But if they do lay the groundwork and all of a sudden things get better and things start going the right way, I'm always interested to see what those coaches kind of can and will do for that group. Because, like, how do you honor them? Hey, you didn't win an SEC game. Thanks. But you helped us get it back where it was. So they need to be. and they should be if they are a group that realistically kind of helps you weather the storm to be able to get things right a little bit later. Don's on the Higginbotham hotline, wants to chat in. Welcome in, Don. How you doing today?
Hello, Kyle. War Eagle to you, my friend.
War Eagle, man.
Hey, the Auburn episode, buddy, I bet that brought back memories for you on your last game, and that just showed that was unbelievable. The Cam Coleman, Marcus Davis walked through right there by Stanford Hall. That was my favorite part, but that brought back memories for you, I'm sure, didn't it?
Some of it, yeah, for sure. I mean, I know what goes into that game, and you think back on it and being able to play at the last one at Legion Field, which was probably more memorable to me than any other college football game that I personally played in, because I would pay 50 cents and get on the Max bus at Maison DeVille and ride to Legion Field and just walk around. So, I mean, I didn't have a place to go. I didn't know anybody tailgating. I didn't have tickets, but I just wanted to be a part of it and be a part of big college football games.
Yeah, I actually went to that game and everything. You guys played your guts out in that game. You really did, man. And now, was that Tuberville's first year? Or
no, that was Bill Oliver. Jimbo Fisher refused to run 344 and 343 again, which it worked coming out of the half as we told him it would. And we ran it once for about 18 yards and didn't run it again. And then there was a guy wearing 37 on the other team that was somewhat difficult to slow down.
Yeah, I'll never forget when Sean Alexander and Alabama beat Florida that year, I believe. Steve Spurrier after the game, he never would say the player's name for Alabama because couldn't stop 37, and number 60 blocked my whole defensive line because God wasn't smiling on the Gators today.
Well, that's sometimes the way that it goes, and you just don't really know. Thanks for the call, Don. Appreciate it.
Hey, buddy, thank you.
Yeah, I saw a little bit of a different side of Hugh Freeze, talking to some of his guys about where he wanted to be, wished that they were, and was upset that they couldn't be there at that point in time. So, and that's the hard part of all of this. Somebody's going to lose. Somebody's going to have a bad year. And now more than ever, the extra stuff that comes with that is more difficult to handle. But they're also making a lot of money, including the players. All right, let's give you some added value here on Jox. I'm going to introduce you to our friend and wealth advisor, Tad Hill, your trusted retirement planning partner. Tad, the co-host of the Retire with Freedom radio and TV shows in Birmingham and Huntsville, also designated by Forbes as the #1 financial securities professional in the state of Alabama, multiple years running. Tad, what do you have for us today? All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, 7:48 right here on Jox. You can listen online, joxfm.com. Find us on YouTube. You can watch the show live every day. Search Jox945. Tune in that way. The show lives on YouTube every day, too, if you want to go back and watch it throughout the course of the day. Talking Netflix documentary, who may be featured that we enjoyed. Like Whit Weeks I mentioned with Matt Moscona earlier in the week, that I had visited with him once for a TV meeting, knew he was a pretty cool kid, knew he was fun, but like you just got a whole new peek into like what he is, what he's about. Like it just seems like if you're picking your teams, it'd be hard not to pick him first. And it has nothing to do with playing football. That's a big part of what would be great about it. Like, you just want him on your team. I just want the attitude, like the smile, you want that on your side. And so learning more about guys like him, I think seeing Sellers behind the scenes a little bit pretty cool. Like you see how thoughtful, how intelligent, some of the things that go into what he does on a daily basis. I think that's all pretty cool. So, I think all in all, it's been great. I think a lot of people were scared about this when it was announced that, they're going to show you how the sausage is made. And people are, watch out. You're going to see this. They're going to be working out early. Oh, whoa. They get yelled at.
Right.
The coaches cuss. Oh.
And that's one thing I always think about, especially now since I'm done playing. It's like, okay, yeah, I understand people want to be, great sports and great sportsmen. I don't think people really understand what goes on the football field. Like, it's not a nice sport. Every single snap, it's literally a collision. It's wheel on wheel, man on man. Like, it's a violent game. Not everybody's friends on the football field. It's very rare that you get an occasional, like, hey, good play. Most of the time, it's like not suitable for work that's being said on every snap. And I guess when people like figure out, Brian Kelly's cussing out his players. Oh, well, yeah, like I expect my coach to cuss me out if I'm doing something wrong.
I don't know why that was surprising, to be perfectly honest with you. I know that some guys' demeanor is different than others, and we don't really expect them to say certain things or have that certain side of them, but they've all got it. If they didn't have intensity, they wouldn't be where they are.
That's a fact.
And I think that's another thing you kind of learned about Beamer. He's like the all shucks guy, and you hear him dropping F-bombs and halftime speeches of how you need to finish. And it's kind of like, well, he's got that side too. Like he can be that guy if he needs to. He can crank it up if he's got to. You got to have it in this game. You've got to get your guys ready to play. You've got to get the intensity out of them. And even if you leave a lot of that to your coordinators or your position coaches, the head coach still has to have it at certain points in time, no matter what. He's got to have it. And I think you saw that he's got it a little bit. But I don't feel like anybody has just embarrassed themselves, or there's been anybody like hearing the stuff about Billy and his dad. Like, people need to know about that. Like, people need to know. Like,
I had no idea.
Oh yeah, his dad's a high school legend and an amazing coach that had a ton of wins and has a ton of respect from everybody. And so, like, those are the stories that when people are talking about fire this guy that people don't know and they haven't seen. And it shows you how relatable he is as a person. He might be the most monotone sucker you've ever seen in an interview in his life at the podium. And I try to tell Florida fans when they hired him, don't think that this opening presser is going to be what wins you over, because it will not be. He's not that guy. But then you start hearing his philosophies and you start hearing like what motivates him and how he operates and why he operates. I mean, he is meticulous. He has a reason for every single thing that he does. And he'll tell you, he's like, we did it this way, and here's why. And he'll go step A, step B, step C, step D, step Z he'll get to. And you're like, wow, okay, makes sense now. Like, I get it. I mean, he is as meaningful with how he operates and what he does as anybody I've met. And there are some guys that they don't take that same approach. Sam Pittman doesn't take that approach. I mean, he knows why he wants to do certain things, but it's not all, T's crossed, I's dotted, perfectly typed and written out. It's a little bit of a different way of handling things. Like, you don't think Sam Pittman's got that intensity side if he needs it? I promise you he can get it out if he's got to.
Yeah, O-line coach, he got it in.
Get in the corner and give me a pump. Next time I talk to Sam Pittman, I'm going to say, how many times have you asked your guys to do curls 5 minutes before the kickoff? I'm going to guess it's none. There may have been an early Sam Pittman that told his guys, like, saw a curl bar in the corner of a visiting locker room. Was like,
just go ahead and knock you out.
Son, I think we might need to go over there and get a couple of them curls in. The D-line's good. Never know, might help. I think the pushing point of it would be a little bit different.
Yeah.
Dave in Hoover wants to chime in. He's on the Higginbotham hotline. Welcome in, Dave.
Hey, guys, couple things. First of all, I'm 64 years old, so I played for the 65-pound Cowboys as a kid. And we had a coach that yelled at everybody. And we had one kid I grew up with, Johnny Mann. He said, Johnny, you're not hitting anybody. You're standing around. Follow me. And he follows him. He goes over to the sideline, and he says, now you stand right here with the cheerleaders. Girls, y'all show him a couple of moves or whatever y'all do.
He did.
Johnny, when you decide you want to come hit somebody, you raise your hand. The parents are laughing about it. You do that today, you end up in court.
How old was this?
65 pounds. So I was probably, what was that?
That was
8
probably,
or 9 years old?
Yeah, around there, maybe a little older.
Yeah. Oh, they got on you, boy. And, and of course in high school you got hit in the helmet with a whistle. I don't know if you've ever had that happen, but back when we had those suspension helmets, like doing it to a tin can or something. But, hey, real quick on Napier, I saw him last night on the SEC Network. His lips don't hardly move when he talks. And there's no doubt this guy knows football. I mean, he's as intelligent when it comes to football as anybody. I just don't know that the guy has a personality for a head coach. I could be wrong, totally wrong, but I don't know. There's something about him. I can't figure out what it is. I guess we'll see. This year probably is going to be the make or break year for this guy, but
does maybe the greatest NFL coach in our time have a personality?
Good point. Bill Belichick.
I mean, you do it different ways. Really so I see what you're saying, and I agree. I'll tell you, he's not going to wow you in any press conference, but he's thoughtful.
That's right.
And he's intentional.
Hey, and did you guys notice the statue of Bill Brady, Tom Brady outside the stadium? I was watching Fox News last night, and they brought it up. They said, look at the statue. What's wrong with it? His head is way too small for that statue.
I haven't looked at it. I'll go find a photo of it and take a look. I saw that he got it, but I didn't pay attention to it. So I'll go look at it. Appreciate the call. Gusty Ghouls and the Gusty Ghouls Group want to help you get into a new home. Maybe even not one that has a statue, maybe one that does have a statue, but they've helped more than 3,000 home buyers and sellers in the greater Birmingham area, so they can help you. 205-542-1996. Google Gusty Ghouls Group. You're going to see over 850 5-star Google reviews. So they're going to be able to help you in a lot of different ways. Get into a new home. They know what real estate's coming available. Or get top dollar for your current home. Go to GustyGhoulsGroup.com or call 205-542-1996 today and start packing. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. It is 8 a.m., hour number 2 underway right here on Jox, Tuesday, August the 12th. Appreciate you guys tuning in. 800-239-9569. You want to get in. Had a lot of feedback on Twitter and via text about the Brady statue from over the weekend. Did you see this thing?
Yeah.
I mean, you saw, but you actually saw the statue. You didn't just see that they did it.
Yeah, I just saw the statue. I didn't see like the whole pomp and circumstance behind it.
But they're right. It's the dimensions are not accurate. The shoulder's way too broad for the size of the head that's on this thing.
Big shoulder pad era. So they got him in the early years.
That would have been the late 90s. I wonder, though, if Brady said this intentionally. He's like, people think that all this has gone to my head, so if you could just shrink my noggin a little bit, that would
seems like
help with some of this. Now, I'll say this. The Dwayne Wade statue is still worse.
Oh, absolutely.
And the Cristiano Ronaldo statue
is awful.
The all-time worst. People look at these when they're finished, right? Like someone stood this up and said, there it is. We did it. Hold on a second. Like nobody came to the artist and said, that skull is it's tiny.
Right.
It doesn't fit.
Maybe they should have went to his long hair era.
What are we doing there?
I've never seen Tom Brady ever do that.
Takes me back to old Public Enemy days right here.
It's a weird look. Like, because I thought they would probably do something when he does, like, his pregame thing where he's, like, screaming to the opposite side or... When
he's doing the head
butts. Maybe something like an action shot of that, but I've never seen Tom Brady do that.
If somebody would ever enact a statue of you, what would you want to be doing in said statue? I guess it would be, like, what for? Like, if somebody was going to give me a statue for being a football player, I would want to be playing football.
Right.
I wouldn't want to be celebrating.
Like, there's plenty of action shots of him, Can
you not just have me dropping back?
Exactly.
Now, okay, so let's flip this around. We gave Brady some credit there by maybe this is where he said, hey, shrink the head a little bit. I don't want people to think I'm arrogant. Maybe this is when he said, I'll show up for it, but the helmet needs to be off.
Maybe.
If I'm going to have a statue, I want people to see my face.
Well, it's exactly 12 feet tall, which is...
That's dumb.
Great, I guess, TB12.
Why do we make statues so much bigger than the individuals? If you're getting a statue, you're essentially larger than life for a lot of folks as it is.
Right.
Why do they need to be so much bigger than the person?
That is a good question.
I just don't know. And where do you, like, what's the scale of those dimensions? Like the Barkley statue is a lot bigger than Charles is in real life down at Auburn.
Absolutely.
The Cam Newton statue is gigantic.
Absolutely.
I think he's like 8.5, 9 feet tall. I mean, his shoulders are like 4 feet wide.
That is true.
Which is, I mean, you want a Heisman, you deserve a statue. But like, what's the scale of, hey, let's make this like 120% his actual size, 200% his actual size.
Maybe it's the play on he's larger than life. Maybe that.
You are getting a statue of you.
Sure. Maybe it's harder to get to the exact dimensions. Maybe not enough bronze or gold.
Do you think it would be cool to see a statue of yourself or weird to see a statue of yourself?
Initially kind of weird.
I think it'd be really weird.
And then afterwards, it would probably just grow and be like, oh, yeah, I'm right there.
Like if I was Brady and I saw the statue, I'd be like, the biceps need to be a little bigger. Not much definition in the arms there, bud. Could we at least like yoke those up a little bit for me?
Right. Because you start in Tom Brady's
first
defense,
off, I'm not that tall. So if we're going to fabricate things, let's get the muscle definition going a little bit.
Right, and you probably look, if you're Tom Brady, thinking like, okay, so what year did y'all do this? Was this the 2017 year? And
guys, that looks very Tampa Bay Brady-ish.
Right, okay, y'all caught me on the back end.
Circumvent back to like the combine days. It's totally fair. Like the Cristiano Ronaldo statue, like there's a human who created that looked at the finished product and said, put the drape over it. We're ready to deliver it.
It's awful.
Box it up.
It's awful.
It looks like a cartoon character.
It really does.
I mean, and not a friendly cartoon character, like one of those New York Times political making fun of somebody cartoon characters.
And I kind of think about it like this. If it's a statue of myself and I don't necessarily approve, can I tell them to knock it down? Like, hey, let's try this again. Thank you. I really do appreciate it.
They unveil it and you say, nope.
No. Yeah.
Absolutely not.
I mean, it's a statue of me, so it's like
Not approved.
Yeah. Like, couldn't y'all have given me a text or like snap us, give me a picture of like, hey.
I wonder if that's a part of the negotiating now. When people say,
Should be.
We would love to put a statue up, would you mind coming and say, I'm going to need to see the finished product first.
Absolutely.
I will not share it with the public, but I'm going to need to give my final, I'm going to have to check off on this.
Yeah. And say, hey, maybe we push it back a couple dates and we're not there yet, but we really do appreciate it.
I'm trying to think if I know anyone personally that has a statue. I don't really think I do. I mean, Charles Barkley, Nick Saban would probably be the closest.
Yeah.
Coach Saban had it early too, man.
Oh, and they already knew.
Do you think he would take recruits by his statue? That's a pretty big win. And if you're recruiting against other people in a comparative fashion, there are no others that had that.
No.
At the time. I don't think there's another coach, maybe at their high school somewhere. I don't know. But who is a coach across the country that could say, let me walk you over to my statue? What do you think of that?
I think he's the only one.
Also, do you think Coach Saban should have had a different statue for every national championship?
Well, there's only so much room on the Walk of Champions.
Because Bear Bryant would have had a lot.
Right.
He could have had like the whole running man. Like every
year just passing it. Yeah.
Put them in a row, like left arm up,
yeah,
right arm up. Be like, you look real fast back and forth. It's like, oh, Bear's running.
It would.
Zoo.
It's a lot of bronze, a lot of material. But yes, I think it's if you're Nick Saban, you kind of look at it as, all right, you're showing off, like, hey, this is the Walk of Champions. Kind of, if you look over,
you
there,
accidentally walk right past it and you don't mention it, and you hope the kid's like, hey, hold on. That's you.
Like you're giving a generic tour.
You're right. That is me. I didn't necessarily mean to bring you past that, but
if you look to your right,
that is. I mean, I do have a statue here. Maybe you could get a statue one day. A lot of wins to go before that. A lot of wins. Yeah, Alabama hadn't put their Heisman winners up yet.
That is true. Well, I mean, they're still one of them isn't, but the rest of them are still pretty active.
No, it's fair, but that doesn't mean you can't.
Yeah.
I mean, for what you did there.
And if you want to say,
it's not a program that celebrates individuals.
You don't say.
Team accomplishments.
But since you're talking about life-size statues, I think Bryce would probably say, "Can you elevate mine just a tad?"
Stop it.
Well, I mean, we're the same height. Like it's fair game down there.
Which makes it more impressive what he's done.
Exactly.
Yeah, statues are interesting. Like Dwayne Wade, when he pulled, you almost saw his reaction when he pulled the curtain off of it.
Yeah,
it was like, who?
Dwayne Wade had an afro, and I was
who is that?
That's not him.
Which statue did you purchase and then put the jersey on to say that's me? Because that's not me. It isn't.
Shaq has a statue outside of
LSU. Yeah.
And his was like
he's like Duncan. That's what I'm saying. Like, why would you not want to be active in whatever sport it was? Like Cam's like dropping back.
Mm-hmm.
Now, doesn't have a helmet on, so it's like, what was his warm-ups?
Got him in pregame.
Like, I think Bo's running, but like no helmet on. So I guess you could just take the helmet off and have him in an action shot.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, once again, like if I'm a baseball player, if I'm Barry Bonds and I get a statue, I want to be mid-swing.
Whew.
Or, you know what? Actually, I want to be probably just about to drop the bat after a McCovey Cove splash hit that I know was going like 480.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one would work also.
Does King Griffey Jr. has a statue, doesn't he? I
don't believe so.
Man, trying to replicate that swing in statue form. It's a Kodak moment.
He probably should. There we go. King Griffey Jr. statue. Yes. Right out there outside the park.
Okay.
So next question. All the guys that have statues, when said park is destroyed and new park is built, do they just move them?
Oh.
I don't know if there were statues at Candlestick. I went to Candlestick once to watch a 49ers game. I don't remember seeing any statues. It's a very odd entrance into that place for a football game. But did they just move them over to Pac Bell / AT&T / Oracle / whatever that stadium's called now? I don't know.
I've never thought of that.
Because, I mean, he could have had one at the Kingdom. My son has MLB The Show 25, and we were talking about the Polo Grounds over the weekend.
Oh, man.
And, by the way, I did not realize that the Polo Grounds was like 210 down the right field line. I knew center field was atrocious.
But get it down the line.
Because he said something like, he goes, yeah, so-and-so's, he's like 460 feet. I was like, well, there's not really a 460-foot center field fence. He goes, yes, there is. And he goes and gets it, and he's scrolling through all the stadiums, and I was naming them where they all played, all the old ones, and it was Kingdom, and they're like, Astros. I'm like, it's not the same one as the Astros. That's the Kingdom where the Mariners played. So I guess he could have had it there, and then you bring it over to Safeco. Is it still called Safeco? I don't even know.
I think so.
I thought it was too, but these things change quickly, and sometimes we don't hear about it. So, all right, statues. Interesting topic. Not many people have them. Do we feel like Greg will have a statue one day?
Maybe in like the Rhodes Scholarship Committee Fund, like maybe in that building.
Hamilton tweets in, do you guys think these sculptors are secretly sabotaging these athletes when they get to the facial features for their own hilarity? In the Cristiano Ronaldo instance, yes, I do.
Maybe
I think that gentleman hated him and said, I'm going to make you look like a cartoon character. There's one like black and white cartoon character who's like, it looks like his hair's kind of on fire, and I think he has glasses and his eyes are always wide open. I don't know what he's like used for certain things in GIFs maybe. Like that's what Ronaldo looks like in his statue.
Oh, yeah, and we have a correction on Safeco. The Mariners play at T-Mobile Park now.
Whatever that means.
Yeah.
I thought that was the sponsor of the Home Run Derby. I didn't know that was the whole park.
Yeah, whole park named after
They just kept it there after they had the Home Run Derby. You know what? That's a good ring to it. Just keep that there. Royal Payne tweets in, if DeBoer gets a national championship, does the statue contain the hoodie or a polo? If you want it torn down, put it in the hoodie. Because we saw how mad people got about that last year.
That's why they were losing games. So I heard. He's got a hat on. Short sleeve hoodie.
And Jolly tweets in, here's a quote for those seniors in programs that success comes through increments after they're gone. Blessed are those who plant trees under whose shade they will never sit.
And then we're getting philosophical.
I feel like that works for like Stanford.
Strikes me as such. Sounds like something Andrew Luck would say.
Oh, Kid Bama Kid tweets in. So the moral of the story is, if I play sports and I'm a decent player, there's nothing I can't do to get away with it. Was that on this show?
No, it wasn't.
No, it was an hour ago.
It was.
I would like to know what you're referencing.
I think the program. But
the movie?
Yeah, I think so.
We haven't mentioned that today.
No, we haven't. But as far as, if you're a good football player, you can get away from things.
But we also specified that Clark Lee was not – he used to get upset about small things.
Right.
Like being late for class
mm-hmm.
or acting a fool in the weight room or maybe not having a high enough GPA. And now he's been able to overlook some of those things. And whereas in the past he would have suspended them for a half or a series or a game, he no longer does that.
Mm-hmm.
At no point in time did we mention things further down the line that guys may have been doing that were illegal or would have maybe had them in jail or further action could have been pressed upon them. We made no reference to those things.
Nope.
But that's where our brains go. So congratulations to you for that. Tell people how they can be a part of the Jox Kickoff Party, please.
Yeah, absolutely. You can celebrate the kickoff to college football with us at the Bill Smith Buick GMC Jox Kickoff Party at Regents Field on Thursday, August 21st. And the only way to go is by winning tickets. This week is the last week of qualifying. So to enter to win a pair of tickets, for you and the guests, text the keyword GO and your full name to 205-834-9450. The keyword is GO and your full name to 205-834-9450. Winners are drawn and notified daily. And for more information, visit joxfm.com.
All right, going to get back to discussing Alabama's new starting quarterback next right here on Jox. But I'll tell you what, people get upset about the stadium names when you get them wrong. I can't keep up with all of them. It's like the transfer portal. There's no way you can keep up with all of them. They change almost annually, and some we don't reference all the time, and I'm going to always go back to the ones that they originally were. It's always going to be Pac Bell Park to me in San Francisco. Sorry, it just is. I don't do the corporate name changes. It's always going to be the same, the first one to me. That's just what it is. They'll never be the Las Vegas Raiders. Sorry. Can't do it. Certain ones you just can't change. Certain ones you can't look at and say, oh, yeah, now that's what that one's called. That's going to be different. You just got to stick with what it was. But you can change your health at Game Day Men's Health if you're looking to do that. It's easy as well. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com, GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Sign up for a free consultation. You're going to get a free PSA test, free testosterone test. They'll give you baseline health where you are right now. Once they let you know what your numbers look like, where you are, they have multiple programs to help you either have more energy, get better sleep, not feel on edge, get rid of brain fog, or lose weight. A lot of different ways they can help you just be better on an everyday basis. So go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com today. Sign up for that free consultation. Tell them you heard about them on Mac and QB. Save 10% on any service that they offer. GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Christian Clemente joining us now on the Higginbotham Hotline. He covers the Auburn Tigers. And just wanted to get an update of how some things are going through camp. It sounds like Jackson Darnold, the offense, did some good things on Saturday, and maybe he is beginning to progress while also seeing more things defensively. Christian, what have you seen? What have you observed? What have you heard about sort of how Jackson Darnold and the offense are advancing through fall camp?
Yeah, Cole, we got to talk with the offensive staff last night in some interviews, talked with Ken Austin, the quarterback coach, talked with Derek Nix, the offensive coordinator. They both echoed kind of what we've heard in terms of Jackson has been progressing pretty well. He graded out really well in the scrimmage that they had. Despite some offensive struggles, they were pleased with what he did. Last Thursday, we were out there for the entirety of practice. They opened it up to the media for the whole practice. And it was probably the best day that we've seen. And we've seen maybe 5 or 6 practices and a good chunk of them at that. So Jackson has been definitely progressing well. The one thing that Ken Austin mentioned last night, and the thing that we've heard and noted several times as well, is probably still holding onto the ball a little bit too long in different scenarios, still maybe a little bit too hesitant. So they're trying to get him to push the ball out a little bit faster in certain scenarios. But overall, the coaching staff's been pretty pleased with him this fall camp.
I feel like some of the messaging around Saturday scrimmage, too, is how much the defense was doing. Freeze told us at media days that he was kind of pulling back on that, not allowing his coordinators to do more. Is that actually changing with what he's seeing every day in practice?
Yeah, I would say so. The defense has certainly caused some fits on certain days. The coaching staff last night said it's been pretty back and forth. Some days the offense kind of dominates. Some days the defense kind of dominates. And look, some of the days that we've been out there, it has been the defense dominating. The offense has struggled at times, and Auburn's defense was definitely a strength last year, and there were question marks going into this camp. Certainly interior defensive line, linebacker. You lost a lot of guys at those spots, but those are some of the positions that have been really, really strong throughout camp. Xavier Atkins, the LSU linebacker transfer, didn't play a whole lot his freshman year last year, but he was a guy that DJ Durkin loved out of high school. Back when he was recruiting him at Texas A&M. He's really flashed in camp. DeMarcus Riddick, they've kind of limited him as he still comes back from a shoulder issue that he dealt with in the spring. But he's done well. The middle guys at linebacker, Robert Woodyard, Caleb Wheatland, the freshman Elijah Melendez have all looked good. And then that interior defensive line, I mean, those guys, there were a lot of question marks about how disruptive they could be, especially against an Auburn offensive line that this staff feels really good about. So far, they've caused them some issues. And I think Durkin has kind of let those guys loose. They've rotated a bunch of different guys, and on certain days during camp, they have absolutely caused some issues for this offense.
Christian Clemente joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline, discussing Auburn camp so far, how it's been, where they are. Is the running back position sort of sorting itself out as far as an order of who will get the first carries, maybe the most carries in the early portion of the season?
To be honest, Cole, the answer is it's a hard no. When we asked Derek Nix that last night, said, what's this looking like? And he said it's still too early to tell in terms of who's going to get the most carries. Look, you're not going to see a guy get 20 carries a game. And even with Jarquez Hunter last year, we didn't really see that all that often either. For this team, the three guys in Damari Alston, Jeremiah Cobb, and Darrell Robinson. Those are the veterans, although Damari and Jeremiah Cobb haven't played a ton of football during their time at Auburn. Darrell has when he was at UConn. Those are going to be the guys getting the bulk of the carries, but I think Auburn is still sorting through who they want to go to in different situations, who is going to close out a game, who's going to be out there on 3rd and 5, situations like that. So there's still a lot to be figured out there. I think Auburn feels good about the guys they have, and they feel really good about freshman running back Omar Mabson, although I think he's pretty clearly behind those other three, but he's flashed this camp. So still some things to figure out there for who could start, who could close out a game, who's going to get the bulk of the carries this season.
All right, you had a write-up yesterday on Malcolm Simmons, and Auburn's Title IX has cleared him to participate in team activities, now been cleared of all wrongdoing in his legal matters as well. What details can you add to this that might clarify it for people as to sort of how and why he's been able to get to this point with the team?
Yeah, so our Jason Caldwell had a great story. I guess it was start of fall camp when he got cleared to actually practice, and noted how as soon as Malcolm was arrested and all that popped up with the domestic violence charges, how it instantly went to a university investigation, not an Auburn athletics investigation. University investigated it, found that everything was good, that he was cleared to practice. From there, the legal proceedings kept going. I think it was last Friday his case was brought up, and they requested it to be, I'm not remembering the exact phrasing on it. This is bad radio, but requested it to be confidential because he was under 21. And then yesterday the case was cleared. We had heard pretty quickly within, I would say, a couple of days after Malcolm was arrested on the domestic violence charges that everything from his camp felt like the charges were going to be cleared. Everything was good, whether that be a miscommunication on, the arresting report said that there were bruises on her neck. People felt like that was a bit of a miscommunication, and those were hickeys and not bruises. And so things like that all kind of culminated together, and, Auburn University held its investigation, found nothing wrong, and then the case very quickly got dismissed. So good news for Auburn football, and more importantly, good news that seemingly nothing wrong there in what's obviously very serious legal matter.
So we heard from Ken Austin yesterday also. You referenced it just a little bit more, and Jackson Arnold maybe needed to get the ball out a little bit more quickly. The receiver room has gotten all the praise in the offseason. Are you expecting, based on what you've seen, heard through fall camp, that group to live up to the hype?
I am, honestly. It's tough to imagine a defense being able to handle Cam Coleman, Eric Singleton, Malcolm Simmons all out there on the field at once. And then you look at some of the guys that have flashed this camp as well. Talking with Marcus Davis, talking with those guys yesterday, he said that Bryce Kane has taken a step forward. He said that Perry Thompson has really, really flashed at certain times. And, we were out there at practice last Thursday that I mentioned beforehand, and there was one skelly drill where Perry was kind of jogging through it, and Freeze got on him. I mean, he was on him for a couple minutes, more than I've maybe ever seen Hugh Freeze kind of ripping on a player and trying to get him better. And it just so happened that we were scheduled to talk with Perry after practice that day, so got a chance to kind of talk with him about it a little bit, which provided some unique opportunities to hear what he had to think about it. And it was really good. He said he really appreciated it. He said he loves that this staff is on him, holding him to a high standard. So you've got guys like that. You've got Horatio Fields. Everyone on that offense last year, the Freeze Four, as they were called, Marcus Davis feels like they've all taken steps forward in different areas. So if that's true, and everything that we've seen in camp so far backs that up, and then you add a guy like Eric Singleton, you add a guy like Horatio Fields, it feels like all you really need is Jackson Arnold to take some shots and get the ball in the right spot for them, and they'll be able to handle some things.
Is there any more clarity to the tight end position and maybe who can help Auburn excel there, and maybe what other bodies might actually be contributors this season?
Yeah, I would say, through the first couple of weeks of fall camp, the name that we were watching the most going in, the name that was the projected starter was Brandon Frazier, who's back. He's been on campus for a long time. But the name that's flashed the most in the first couple of weeks is Preston Howard, the Maryland transfer. He looks like the best of the bunch when it comes to just about everything in that room, honestly. Athleticism, catching the ball, moving out in space, blocking. He feels like he's going to be the lead guy, just from what we've seen. May not start that way to start the season, but it feels like he's come on pretty strong. Look, Brandon Frazier is going to still contribute. He's one of the bigger bodies in that room. He can be an inline guy, and he can go out there and catch some passes as well. But I would definitely lean more towards Preston Howard. And then, look, the former offensive lineman Tate Johnson, it's kind of a funny story of him moving from playing center to playing tight end, but he's going to get a decent chunk of snaps, I think, this season, more than people maybe expect, as a blocking guy and an H-back in this offense.
No, because I've seen actually some, they released the still photos after practice, and he's actually been a couple of those catching the ball. You would imagine that they're not accidentally getting him in those pictures that often. So it makes sense that he's a guy that actually would be a pretty decent contributor there. I imagine most of that based on the physicality, but have you been able to see him catch some balls, run some routes? Does it look smooth?
It looks decently smooth for a former center out there. I don't know how many targets he's going to get on the year. It feels like when he does get targets, it'll be little leak outs, maybe broken play, and he kind of just finds himself open and the quarterback finds him. But he's definitely going to play a chunk of snaps more than people maybe would expect.
Absolutely. All right, Christian, thanks for the time today, man. Really appreciate it. Thanks for catching us up on Auburn football. We'll do it again soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Cole. Appreciate it.
All right, Christian Clemente covers the Auburn Tigers, joining us on the Higginbotham hotline. You can follow him on Twitter at @CClemente247, and does a great job covering Auburn athletics. We'll follow up on some of that. We go around the SEC in the 8 o'clock hour every day now leading up to kickoff. We'll do that, get McElroy back in right after this on Jox. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Want to issue an apology to the listeners as Greg rejoins us after accompanying his children to school for the first day.
We back.
Bama hater tweeting in, damn, just ad-lib the statue subject to death. Run DMC, it's time for your own show. MC and Goob is boring, predictable, and boring some more.
Heck yeah.
So
we rip. Doing something right. Ayo.
It's consistently told to us how bad we are by this individual and how we don't know football and don't know things. But for some reason, those tweets consistently come in. I guess there are just literally zero options out there to listen to, which I would actually invite you to go check out. Could give 2 expletives if you listen to me any morning here moving forward. Good effing bye is what I would say. Holla at you. Don't care.
Boy. Welcome back, G-Mac.
How was first day of school?
We rip. I'm not going to lie, I'm blowed.
Wasn't that bad, was it?
I gave it all I had today. It's just an overwhelming day. Like, you're a little emotional. Your kid's going to first grade. Like, he no longer cares that you exist. Like, it's just a lot of things, you know?
Yeah.
Last year, it's like, can you walk into school with me? It's like, no, buddy, you got to go with one of your older friends. Like, that's the rule. You walk in with one of your older friends that have been there before. Now it's like, later, flicks me off as he walks into the school. Like, it's like, I mean, not really. He gave me a little shaka, but it was close enough.
Like, now y'all just home.
Hang loose, bro.
Appreciate the
All
ride.
right, brah. Later, dude.
Appreciate the ride, big homie.
Yeah. Murked
So
me.
they don't let you guys go to the room first day?
No.
No, they let everybody went to the rooms. We went to the rooms on the first day, except the older 2 just wanted to take the youngest to his class. That's all they cared about. And I got that from my daughter going to 5th grade. She was like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I was like, nope. Last day of elementary school, walking you to class. Sorry. You can be mad at dad all you want. It's happening. Tough. Sorry about it.
Dad's not cool and he's boring. Boom.
Boring and then boring some more.
Now you're
according
a
to said tweet.
double threat.
Yep. Double them up.
I'll say this. First day of school is always like, and even as like a grown man, it's kind of hard to like drop your kids off at school. I mean, look, I'm not going to sit there and like burst into tears. That's not really my style, but it's hard. It's like, here you are all summer. Like, man, I can't wait for school to start. I can't wait for school to start. This is exhausting. I can't go throw any more coach pitch baseballs at you. I can't go play catch in the yard. Like, I got to do some work. Like, we're getting ready to get going. Man, I don't know, dude. It's like your little buddy. You know what I mean? It's like your little buddy is going off to first grade. And I know it's not like we still have a lot of time in elementary school, but it's like you look at the pictures from last year, you look at the pictures this year, like he's a completely different kid.
Yeah, wait till you do it for 3.
Oh, it's crazy, dude.
Yeah. But
it's super fun, super blessed. Love where we go to school. Teachers are amazing. Kids are amazing. It's just awesome. It's just hard to send them off. You're no longer in control.
It's tough. I mean, you think that's tough. You should try not being boring on the radio every morning. Whew.
Well, I mean,
speaking of tough,
I've given up on that.
Yeah, it's
super boring.
It's difficult.
You don't become number 1 in mid-markets in the morning drive on accident.
No, not true.
They usually give that declaration to boring shows. I've been told that. It's what we call a participation trophy.
I'll take it.
3 years running.
It's not a boring award.
If you ain't first, you're last.
I want to get your thoughts on Ty Simpson being named the starter.
Not a boring award.
Not a boring award. Don't give that to boring.
Boring?
Nope. Want to get your thoughts of Ty being named the starter.
Yes.
You were very complimentary yesterday after seeing him on Saturday.
I had about 400 emails, by the way, of like Google alert, Mac and Cube.
What does that
alert.
mean?
Like, I don't
Google
know.
alert.
My agent sent me all these
People
things.
are Googling you?
I guess my agent gets one every day, and there was 400 yesterday about how we talked about the Bama scrimmage.
I had a couple of weird texts yesterday, like, what was wrong with you? And were you trying to get the people going? And I kind of ignored the first 2 or 3, and then finally I said, well, Tim, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, he was like really positive. I was like, okay, go somewhere else.
Like, I shouldn't be positive?
Essentially saying that was surprising. I was like, he's been positive on Ty Simpson all year for 2 years. Thought he had a chance to win it last year. What you're talking about.
Yeah.
So I don't get Google alerts though. People don't Google boring. That's one thing I've learned.
Heck yeah.
The Google alert on boring is not real. You know what else you don't get for being boring? A statue.
Why y'all gotta hate
Not
on
getting that either.
Why y'all gotta hate on Ronaldo?
I'm trying to ad-lib statue conversation still. By the way, I like that he thought that I'm ad-libbing the statue conversation. What conversation do you not think I ad-lib every morning? Do you think these are scripts that I come in here and read for like 3 hours every day? That's what you think I do? Like I come in here and just like, today on Mac and Q. Hold on, let me get line number 2 for you. And that's how it works. I appreciate that you think that's how it works. That literally people come in here and read sentences on a microphone. I appreciate that. I like that. Because it tells me you couldn't do it. So you'd have to come in here and read it.
Usually the best ones are the ones that totally just read off the prompter. I didn't know that we had a prompter.
That's why Ron Burgundy got a whole movie.
Yeah, well, he got in trouble.
2 of them.
No.
Well, we only count 1.
People still thought it was entertaining.
I've seen worse.
Tell us about the timing of this, though. Did this need to happen now? Was this just because of it was blatantly obvious? Is this some sort of what the install can now turn into, how the reps are going to be distributed in a different way? What do you think about the timing of when this happened for Ty Simpson in Alabama?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that Ty is a young man that is an endorsement is going to be beneficial mentally. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I'm the man. You know what I mean? Like, I'm the man. This is my team. Like, that is a really, really powerful thing. To where you are no longer looking over your shoulder. You're no longer worried about anything external. You're exclusively focusing now on getting yourself prepared for Florida State on day 1. You're no longer trying to compete with the other guys. I think it's a phenomenal thing for a quarterback to get that endorsement. It's huge. Now, I never went through a formal endorsement. Never did. That was not the way Coach Saban did things. But man, I would have liked it. I would have liked it to have it reassured to the rest of the team. Not that it was necessary, but to have it reassured to the rest of the team. Hey, this is our guy. Like, y'all are going to war. Y'all are going to battle together. He's your leader. Let's rock and roll. Like, it would have been great to have. And I think Kalen, having played the position, I think Kalen, having been around the position, having coached that position hands-on, I think he understands the benefit that the quarterback can gain from being endorsed by his staff to the team. And I think it's a great thing. I think it's fantastic. And by the way, it was not a surprise. I think all those that are freaking out about the possible ramifications for the other 2 guys, those other 2 guys have had really good camps. I mean, I thought they looked great for where they're at. I think Austin Mack has a chance to be a real player. You know, I think that's a really good thing to have. I also am very bullish on what I've seen from a skill set standpoint from Keelan. Now, as far as the management of the game, situationally, getting everything lined up, the actual operation itself, there are areas to improve there. He's focused on him when, as the quarterback, you got to be worried about everybody. And guess what? If I was a freshman, I'd be focused on me too, because there's enough going on in my head to not worry about so much about where the split is for the slot receiver. And whether or not I send this guy a motion at the appropriate time, and whether or not we have the correct personnel in the field, things like that. So it's hard enough to worry about what you got going on as opposed to worrying about everybody else. He's doing exactly what he needs to do. So I am super optimistic about what I've seen so far from him, and remain bullish on what he's going to become in the future. I think yesterday was a great day for Ty. It was a long time coming. He'd worked his tail off. He was disappointed in coming up short 2 years ago in the quarterback competition. Just didn't have his best stuff in spring or in fall camp, and has put his head down, been a good teammate, has worked his tail off to get to this point, now have a chance to lock down the job, and he did. It's fantastic. So congrats to him. He should now use this as a confidence boost to kind of propel him to what he's capable of becoming this year.
Yeah, it's I was happy to hear it just because I know kind of what he's been through, and I love seeing a guy that sticks it out and continues to put in the work, finally get their due. I think we talked in the beginning of the show when you weren't in, just that the reasons I think he can have a good season, and it's different than some others. It's not how fast he can run, how far he can throw it, how hard he can throw it, how talented he is. I just think he's got the making with what's around him to help the team put together a really good season and a really positive season. The other thing that I appreciate too is that go to the Alabama football account on Twitter right now and just scroll down. There's no graphics. There's no cute slogan. There's no catchy phrase. None of that.
Business, brah.
None of that. It's not necessary. And I think by doing it now, you take away a little bit of the distraction that could have been closer to the season, where a lot of folks would have looked at it and said, oh, why is this dragging on? Oh, why is this not settled? Oh, why are we waiting? Oh, now's the time. And then have some questions that would go along with that when you're in the middle of game week preparing for Florida State. So you remove a little bit of that by getting it done now also, GMAC, where you're not even going to have to talk about this for the next 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
You're good. It's solidified.
And for the record, a quarterback competition, as much as we want to acknowledge the importance of it, it's a distraction, dude. Like it is. It's a distraction. And the longer you let it linger, and the longer you allow guys to kind of force their way into the competition, and or now every single thing, this thing continues on, everything that Ty does is scrutinized to the highest degree. And, oh, man, well, Austin's making up ground or whatever. Like, it's done. Like, Ty's the 1, Austin's the 2, Keelan's the 3. Let's rock and roll. Keelan and Austin, y'all keep battling. Keep battling because you're one play away. And I need to know who's the next man up. Like right now, I think it's Austin. I think it's a decent gap there, too, to be honest with you, but it doesn't really matter at this point. That allows now Keelan to say, all right, I know where I fall in the pecking order. Let me put my head down and get to work. Like, I'm good with that. Hey, guess what? I threw my best punch. I'm a true freshman. I got a ton of ability. Let me put my head down and get to work. I'm going to get bigger. I'm going to get stronger. I'm going to have better comprehension of the offense. I'm going to study the plan like I'm going to go in the game and start. But guess what? I can focus more on me this season and my own personal development so that when I get a crack at it again and this job opens up again, like it will every year, I'm going to be in great position to go compete. I love it. I think it's just a fantastic spot to be in.
Absolutely. There are other quarterbacks that are being announced, other starters that are being announced. But first, tell our listeners about Shannara Flooring.
Well, Fu and his guys have built their company on foundation of trust and integrity. I've always appreciated the experience I have when I've gone with Fu and the guys. They just do a great job. They're always very, very upfront. They always take great care of your home. You know, it's a busy job. It's a dangerous job when it comes to taking care of your home. They're going to do it. They also have 40,000 square feet of CoreTech flooring by Shaw in stock, and you could stack some savings if you buy that CoreTech flooring today by going to fooandyou.com. You get $10 off per box if you buy the CoreTech from Shannara Flooring. It's really nice flooring, super durable, going to add value to your home or business. Highly recommend you taking a look at that CoreTech flooring. It's really, really good stuff, and it is extremely durable. Extremely durable. So highly recommend you go and check them out. Save that $10 off per box. You can stack the savings. 12 months financing is available by going to fooandyou.com. That's Shannara Flooring, fooandyou.com.
Now, I will say I don't ad-lib every read that I do for some of our customers here that advertise with us, and I apologize to them for that. Sometimes you do have to read the scripts on those.
Sometimes
they're ad-libbed also. Because I know ad-libbing things feels like an impossible part of radio, but we are able to pull it off on occasion.
I mean, I love so much that you are.
Stop reading your script.
I love so much that you're so dialed in on just making sure that every single segment of the show is actually like
scripted.
Rehearsed and scripted. Because I didn't know that. That to me is great. It's fantastic to know.
Yeah. Now you know, and knowing is half the battle. I had that written down right here. Stole it from G.I. Joe.
Heck yeah.
Back with more Mac and Cube next. You want to jump in on Ty Simpson being named the Alabama starter? 800-239-9569, 800-239-WJOX. You can get in now. Not the only starter being named, Greg. Not the only former quarterback that has worn an Alabama uniform being named a starter. Dylan Lonergan named the starter for Boston College as they will open up against Fordham here in a couple of weeks. So
he's going to be good.
What is the count of guys, Alabama quarterbacks who are all on the roster at one time now being starters at some place? It's got to be like 4, right?
Oh.
Pitt, Boston College, Alabama. Is there one more out there that I'm missing?
Trying to think. I think the number one in the clubhouse about starters elsewhere is A&M, but Bama's probably not far behind. A&M has 5 guys that are starting. 5 former Aggies starting in college football this year.
And I feel like that's happened multiple times.
You want to use? Let's see if you can get them all.
I can't.
All right, you ready?
Connor Wigman, Houston.
Zach Calzada, Kentucky.
Zach Calzada, Kentucky. That's the
Well,
one.
he was an Auburn. He's an Auburn
guy. That's
hold
right.
on a second.
That's
Wait
my
a
fault.
second. Have we seen an official announcement there?
He will.
It's
okay.
understood.
Next up.
It's understood.
Yeah.
Haynes King.
Already got Haynes King.
Okay. Oh,
Marcel Reed, obviously, starting at A&M.
Has that been announced?
What's understood
No.
ain't got to be explained.
Does it need to be?
Throwing it out there. Who's another A&M quarterback that's somewhere else now? Did Jacob Zeno leave and is now starting somewhere else?
I don't know.
I don't have another one.
Jalen Henderson, West Virginia.
Okay. You would have had me on that one.
Gotcha. There's one more.
Just figured Garrett Green was back. Yeah, like I said, I'm lost on this. I don't know. I did not script this segment.
Are you
so
ready?
I'm attempting to ad-lib this and I'm failing.
Not yet announced, but in the mix. Max Johnson, North Carolina.
I like how we're just giving all these
5.
starting. We're just
Wait a
giving,
minute.
We're just
Where?
giving all these
North Carolina.
Yeah, Max Johnson's back at UNC.
He's still playing?
Oh, yeah.
Not
Think
announced
about
as a
that,
starter.
though. 5 Aggies could be starters
Oh,
for the places. That's a lot.
It
Bama's
is.
got 4, though. That's a bunch.
I feel like there was a time, though, when Kyle Allen was starting somewhere that there was like 6 or 7 former A&M quarterbacks that were
You're not
somewhere.
wrong.
Kyle Allen, Kyler Murray,
Starkle guy?
Nick Starkle.
Nick Starkle?
There was a bunch of them that were playing somewhere else.
Oh, yeah.
Max Johnson is still playing.
They can
college
recruit
football.
quarterbacks there in College Station. Can't always hold on to them, but they can recruit them. So Bubba wants to chime in on the Higginbotham hotline. Welcome in, Bubba.
Hey, Cole, I got to tell you something. I like Greg. I mean, he got us a national championship. Thank you, Greg. But Cole, man, it kind of concerned me what y'all said earlier about people calling saying you're boring and all this stuff. Listen, guy, I don't like a lot of Auburn. I don't like Auburn at all. But people like you and a guy named Don, and there's a teaching assistant for my boy who's got cerebral palsy when he was young. Auburn, her brother was the kicker for Auburn when Pat Sullivan was there. Y'all are great people. I want to tell you, man, you are very interesting. You bring a lot to us Bama fans. Even though you're an Auburn man, I mean, you are fair, and you have all kinds of interesting stuff. You tell us about football. I just wanted to tell you, man, we appreciate you.
He's fine.
Appreciate that, Bubba.
He's fine, Bubba.
Thank
Let's
you.
not get carried away.
He didn't
He's
say
fine.
anything about not being boring, though.
No. I
Didn't
do
mention
agree
that.
that he's boring, but there's a lot of
Did
good
not
things he
mention
does too. See, Bubba finding the silver lining.
I love that. Golden Domer always finds the silver lining. Welcome in, Domer.
The golden lining, my friend. The
There it is.
golden lining.
Top of the morning, Dumber.
Top of the morning. Now, look, I've been calling this radio station for legit 20 years, okay? And as much, and I'm usually on my own, I feel like I'm me versus the SEC a lot of times. That's fine. That's how I like it, And as much as I would like to have an ally, to have somebody on the radio station that we can, join in this battle, Bama hater, you just can't do it, my friend. Everything that you call out the SEC or Alabama about, your team is the one that started it. You can't call in talking about schedules when your team plays a team that literally has a rattlesnake as a mascot. I don't even know what their name is. They played them for 15 years. Terrible out-of-conference schedules. Awful. Lack of travel. Yeah, we had to almost pay for y'all's tickets to come up to South Bend when y'all took those beatings. Then you want to come in and talk about players getting arrested. There is a reason they call it Catholics versus convicts. You cannot ever talk about SEC and their standards. You are a Miami fan. You cannot call in and point out anything. Like my team, I can call and say that because my team represents that integrity and standard. You, my friend, cannot. So what I would like to tell you, Bama hater, as much as I, appreciate the fact that you're not scared to call on here, you can't be a hypocrite. And I want your coach to understand. He needs to look in that crystal ball and understand he's got a golden ass whooping coming. First game. Get ready, Bama hater.
Still didn't mention not boring. Got distracted in the 8 o'clock hour. Didn't necessarily get around the SEC. We'll give you updates from camps after we visit with Ralph Russo, who is taking on a little bit of a different role this year. We'll move on to Ralph here in just a moment. But first, Greg, if you're moving into a new home, out of a new home, or just need a piece of furniture moved around your current home, who do you need to call?
That'd be Crocker Moving Service. They're a local company owned by an Iraq War veteran, Eric Crocker. Crocker believes in hiring movers you can trust to complete full background checks and run drug tests on every single employee. These are good guys, and you can trust them in your home. When they need your whole home packed up and moved, your company headquarters moved across country, or you just want them to come rearrange your living room, they also got you covered. They also do deliveries for furniture that you've purchased and need to get to your home. So call or visit them online today for a free quote. The website is crockermovingservices.com. That's crockermovingservices.com. Support your veterans by choosing Crocker Moving Service for your next move.
Ralph Russo in a little bit of a different spot this year heading into the AP poll, which was released yesterday. First, Ralph, you go from sort of the organizer, the overseer, to now a voter in the AP poll. How's it been different for you the last couple of weeks?
Well, it's still busy. It's not quite as busy and stressful. That's a good thing. Overseeing that thing and making sure it publishes is, I guess, it can be a little stressful and certainly a lot of work. Putting a ballot together is a lot of work too, especially if you want to do it well. And frankly, I think what happens with the first one, you have so much time to do it and you want to be diligent. You want to do a lot of research. You probably end up overthinking it, or at least I think I did. I probably overthought it a little bit, but it's fine. You come out where you do. It's been definitely a different experience, a little bit of a weird experience to be on the other side of the fence, but also pretty fun. I would say, I'm looking forward to the rest of the season. Maybe I won't be quite as enthusiastic on a 3 a.m. Sunday night when I'm pouring through box scores and highlights trying to fill out my ballot. But right now, for the first one, it was pretty cool.
What did you have the hardest time with when you're trying to kind of line these things up? What was the toughest decision you had to make?
So the two factors that really complicated this one, at the very top of the ballot, which is the most important part, you have the most, what I would say, like the most talented teams in the country. If you look at their rosters, most of those teams, Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, let's say Notre Dame, let's say Oregon, have some kind of question mark with their quarterback situation, right? Even Texas to a certain degree, but relative, right? So you end up lining this up and you say, well, Arch is a new starter, but in the big picture, he's been there for 2 years. He's a 5-star. He's played a little bit, like he's still got more experience than Julian Sayin, than Gunnar Stockton, though Stockton has notable experience, right? So that complicates things when you have these very good rosters that could be undermined by quarterback uncertainty. Even Dante Moore, he played a full season at UCLA, but that didn't go very well, and that was 2 years ago. So that makes the top hard, and it also, I think, benefits teams like Penn State and Clemson, because you can tell me you don't like Drew Aller or you don't like Cade Klubnik, but at least you know what you're going to get, right? There's a certain floor ceiling there that you feel comfortable with. So that was tricky. And right after that group of teams, about 8 or 9 teams, man, once you get to 10, you find yourself thinking, like, nobody should be 10. Right. Like, I think in the actual poll, it was Miami, and I'm not that high on Miami. I think I had them 15 in mine. Like, I just felt like anybody I put 10 through 14 looked wrong. I ended up with like A&M at 10, and like, you can come at me and be like, A&M at 10, that sounds crazy. Like then who else, right? Then Miami, then Michigan, then maybe Florida. Like, all of those teams in that range seemed like a bad fit. So I thought that was the other challenge too. Like, I'm putting these teams in that range and thinking, like, this doesn't feel like the 10th or 11th best team in the country.
I want to go back to sort of your time when you had a different role with the AP than you do right now in putting this together. What was the most difficult task? Maybe not for you personally in coming up with who you thought should be where, like you are now, but just organizing it. Is it making sure the votes get in on time? Is it trying to make sure everybody had their votes correct? If somebody needed to go back and put a different team in a different place, like, what's the biggest relief that you're not having to manage right now that you did for so many years?
Yeah, there definitely is the hurting. And listen, people are very diligent. There's usually 60. I think the voting panel at basically range from 61 or 2 to about 65, depending on the year. It moved around a little bit because occasionally we would add voters, sort of on a national level. But for the most part, that was the basic number. And it's an exercise in herding cats to a certain degree. Everybody's got a job, right? Like, this is not the voters' job. They're media members who cover college football. They're traveling on Saturdays, or they're moving around and doing their actual job. So this is a volunteer gig. I'm sure I'm going to feel that too at this year when I'm covering college football from week to week. So making sure everybody votes correctly is a good point too. Because again, you're filling out your ballot at 3 a.m. and, oh my God, I left Kansas State off, just because I'm moving teams around. So we're trying to help the voters with quality control. And picking voters got a little tougher too as the media landscape shrank, right? Like there's just not as many newspapers, not as many people just generally speaking covering the sport. So all of a sudden you found yourself thinking like, oh, I could really use an extra voter in this state, and there's just not as many to choose from. So those were the things that end up being, again, administratively, there was a lot there, and it just was on top of my job as a reporter.
I would imagine it's very difficult. I actually think you guys did a pretty good job this year. There's a couple I disagree with, but I honestly feel like all in all, it's pretty solid, especially with so many teams that feel bunched up between, say, 15 and 35. The one that I had the biggest disagreement on was SC. They're sitting there at 30, according to you guys. I have them at 11. I look at how many close calls they had last year. I look at what returns, the progress that's likely to be made from year 1 to year 2 defensively. SC, I think, is probably a fairly polarizing team. Where did you stand with SC, and how close did they get to cracking your top 25?
So I did not have them ranked, and I did not have them all that close. They were definitely in my consideration pool, but I don't want to get too bogged down in my process, though I wrote about it on The Athletic, and you guys can read it if you want. I sort of used some computer power ratings as my guide to creating a pool of the top 40 teams, tiered them off, and then started moving them around because, you can't just, if they wanted a computer to vote, they would just use a computer, right? They want me to vote. So I sort of moved things around and had a couple of different criteria on which I leaned on. And without question, the power rankings suggest exactly what you said. And I was on that last year too. I remember getting into some arguments about people hey, nobody's counting USC as a quality win in the Big Ten, but if you look, they are pretty good and they just keep losing a lot of close games. So here's what I would say. I'm with you in that they were on, I kind of want to see them prove it. I'm a little skeptical about the offensive line coming into this season, and we'll see how the defense projects. I think the greater problem with USC, and I'll speak for the whole voting panel, even though, I'm really, it was just my problem. I think USC has burned us a lot lately. So I just wonder if a lot of folks are a little bit timid or passive about this idea of I don't want to buy in on USC. Let Lincoln prove it to me before I just put my money on USC, or I put my vote on USC.
It's an interesting thought process, G-Mac.
It is, and it makes perfect sense. Did you notice the same thing where there really were, and I feel like this year was maybe tougher to put together a top 25 than ever. I look at 15 to 35 like I referenced, and I feel like it's as interchangeable as it's ever been. I do think there's a separation from the top 4. I think the 5 through 10 are pretty interchangeable. I'm kind of fine with whatever direction you decide to head. I think 11 through 15 are about right. And I think 15 through 35, I could make a case for any of those 20 teams to be in the top 25. Did you have a similar feel as you were putting yours together?
Generally, yes. But so where that came into play for me, especially because, if you look at my ballot compared to the poll, my 11, 12, 13 is very different from the polls because I am really not buying in totally on Illinois. I am not totally buying in on Arizona State. I am a little more skeptical of South Carolina and Ole Miss. Tennessee, those teams that were sort of in that range in the polls. Well, maybe not Tennessee. Tennessee definitely took the hit after the Nico situation. And listen, I understand there's some Vol fans who are not thrilled about that, but I think it's not so much, not to get too down the rabbit hole, I don't think it's so much that people thought Nico was going to be great as much as I think they're getting worse at quarterback. I think, even if Nico wasn't going to be a star, I don't think they're going to get better at quarterback. So anyway, getting back to your point, yes, I think that I found myself sort of leaning into the metrics and leaning into returning production and returning starters, but I could definitely find myself looking at who was a good one. I ended up having Louisville in the poll,
instead of Tennessee, right? But I could have also, I think, found myself looking at like Iowa State. I didn't have Iowa, was sort of on my list of maybe they should be in. And that's why USC, I kind of constantly found myself bouncing back to USC, thinking like the numbers suggest I should have this team ranked, like there really doesn't seem to be that much difference between USC and SMU. And SMU is another one that was sort of in that middle of the teens that I don't know if I'm really buying in on SMU this year as much as last year. So there was definitely a lot of teams where I found myself thinking, I got to have 25 teams here. So even if I don't love Illinois, they certainly deserve a spot on this ballot.
I think most folks would understand that and get that. I want to hear from you and your mindset going in and what your conversations have been like over the years of movement in the polls. And you haven't really had to do it much yet, obviously being a voter this time and haven't been in the past. How do you suspect you'll handle that specifically early, Ralph? Because that's one thing Greg and I have said that I think my biggest complaint with the polls has always been refusal to move teams that lose early. It's like you want to prove yourself right a lot of the times. Did you hear much of that from people in the past, and what have you told yourself that you want to try to be moving forward?
So what I don't know if it's much of conversations with people as much as having been so involved in the poll for 20 years, I would see patterns, right? I would notice sort of anecdotally and even maybe looking through research some patterns. And I actually found over the 20 years that I did it that voters were a little more likely to be aggressive early in the season than they were when I first started doing it 20 years ago, right? Now, that doesn't mean that they maybe are as aggressive as they should be, but I did sense in doing it for 20 years that they had become more likely to say, listen, early season, I'm going to be bold here, right? There was a meaningful game and I'm going to move some teams around. And I don't know if I'm going to be quite that aggressive, because I do wonder if what you end up doing is, and listen, it's early in the season, so you could always correct it, right? The results take you where the season goes. So I do respect the idea of being aggressive early because you can just make up for it later. But I do then find myself thinking, like, do you end up overcorrecting early in the season based on low information games, right? Like, Georgia Tech and BC both beat Florida State early last year, jumped into the rankings, and because we thought that was a good win, right? I think that you have to be hesitant to, what do you do with these big games, right? We're going to have 3 top 10 games the first weekend of the season. I almost guarantee by the end of the year, not all 6 of those teams will be top 10 teams, right? At least 1 or 2 of them will probably, hit the skids a little bit and maybe be unranked or hit the back of the poll. But how much do you want to punish a team like Miami if it loses to Notre Dame or vice versa, right? How much do you want to punish Clemson and the loser of Clemson LSU? So I think that's the balance. Like, you're not going into this thing with no information. So I think the idea of like, hey, you need to throw out your preseason, your preseason impressions. Yeah, but like not too much early in the season. If you throw it out completely, like, you could end up looking a little silly in a few weeks when you've dropped a team 15 spots because they lost to another good team.
Finally, as you kind of look at the depth of the SEC, the depth of the Big Ten as reflected on the rankings, and look, I appreciate very much your willingness to change and adjust and adapt on the fly. I don't think we do enough of that. I also think it's a burden to have to completely rearrange and start from scratch every week. So I appreciate all that are willing to do this. But I look at this kind of depth of the SEC, for example, and the fact that Auburn is currently 38th to me is crazy. I think they should be much higher than that. What league is stronger, in your opinion, top to bottom right now?
Oh, the SEC is stronger top to bottom. I mean, that is always going to be the SEC's the SEC's advantage, its secret sauce, is the fact that its 12th best team is almost certainly better than anybody else's 12th best team. We also go down the rabbit hole sometimes with that to a degree where does it matter if the SEC's 12th best team is better than the Big Ten's 12th best team when we are comparing their 4th best teams, right? Like how much do you want to put weight on the fact that let me pull the names out of here. Who would be about the 10th or 11th? Like, let's just say if Auburn is better, and I think, funny, I think Auburn, somebody asked me who is the most likely 5-win team from last year to make the playoff, and I think it's Auburn. Like, if I was looking for a team that could go from losing record to the playoff this year, I think Auburn is probably my pick. I probably underrated them. Their offensive line, I don't know. You tell me, Cole. Their offensive line looks like it could be pretty damn good. But is Auburn being substantially better than Wisconsin? Is that important when we're sort of more so looking at comparing teams at the top of the conference? It's certainly pertinent, right? It's not meaningless because that's who you're playing. But I don't know if I want to get too bogged down in that conversation that I lose track of the real conversation, which is the teams at the top being compared to one another when it comes to playoff time.
Did you have a lot of difficulty with your top 5? Because I feel like there's 1, 2, maybe 3 that I would feel really good about, and then it would get really confusing for me after that.
No, not too much. I knew my top 5 was going to be I was pretty bought in on Texas's number 1. I think they have questions, but I like their answers to those questions. I have a lot of confidence in Kyle Flood to rebuild the offensive line, which they've recruited well. Got to have a fair amount of confidence in Arch. So I was pretty locked in on Texas. Penn State, I kind of gave the number 2 because they have more returning, but I knew they would be in that top 5. I've got Alabama 3, which I know is weird. What? It's weird to think of Alabama as being undervalued, but I just think that their results of last season are skewing the opinion, and people are not looking at what they have coming back. They might have the best offensive and defensive lines in the country coming back. So I know they have questions at quarterback, but again, it's odd to say Alabama is being undervalued. So I knew Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia, Penn State, Texas was going to be my top 5.
Okay.
In some order, right? So I was comfortable with that. So I guess you talk about are you comfortable with the top 5? Yeah, but my top 5 was a little different than everybody else's because I'm buying in on Bama.
Did you struggle with sort of newcomers? I guess let's say Texas Tech. A lot of people think it'll be really good this year. I don't know what to make of Texas Tech right now because there's going to be so much that's so new. But teams like that maybe haven't been in this spot for a while. How difficult was it for you to sort of rank them?
Yeah, without question. Again, to a certain degree, that's the most speculative. Those are the most speculative picks, right? Yeah. Listen, I try to do things taking a little of the subjectivity out, use some numbers, use some criteria. At a certain point, though, there's going to be a little vibes here, right? And you're going to trust that, the portal haul looks pretty good, right? This is a team that the question becomes, can they all come together and actually be a team? But relative to the rest of the talent in the Big 12, this looks like a pretty darn good team that could be, I've been getting a bunch of emails from Texas Tech fans talking about what does an SEC roster look like in the Big 12. I don't know if they quite have an SEC roster, but the roster looks pretty good. And I think once you hit that 20 to 25 area, you are going to have to make some, again, sort of incorporate some vibes and just be a little speculative because there's nothing, as Greg said, there's not a lot that's going to separate 22 from 33.
All right, before I let you go, Greg McElroy has been getting a lot of praise from Alabama fans the last 24 hours for all the nice things that he said. We can reverse that by you sharing with us all the really nice things he said about Texas in your article that came out today.
Yeah, so I decided I needed a former quarterback's opinion, somebody with a little experience about when it comes to both Alabama and Texas. Because what I wrote is that Texas is the new Alabama. And what I meant by that is they're not going to win 6 national championships. Nobody's ever going to do what Nick Saban did. But I think that Texas seems to be moving into a phase where they are ready to sort of produce a national championship contender every year. And I think this year is the test of that, right? Because they do have some uncertainty, and yet they're still number one. I think Sark has sort of built this program in a way that they look like Alabama, that they look like Georgia, which essentially was Kirby taking the Alabama blueprint and transferring it to Athens, right? So it was great for Greg because Greg, talked me down a little bit and said some nice things about Alabama, saying like, hey, listen, Alabama's not going away because is it a zero-sum game? In other words, can Texas move into Alabama's spot and displace Alabama, which is essentially the hypothesis that I'm putting forth. Greg sort of talked me down from that. And again, his experience from both sides of the fence there, being an Alabama quarterback and being an Austin guy or a Texas guy, I thought was really invaluable. So I appreciate you talking me down, Greg, and maybe making me look a little bit less like an idiot in that column.
Well, Texas, I really believe this. They will win a national championship, but to assume that Alabama is on the verge of replacement, I am absolutely not willing to go that far because while, yes, Texas's resources are second to none, the culture that we have created in the great state of Alabama will not allow Alabama to fail. It's too important to our livelihood, that's for sure.
And I'm interested to see how it does turn out this year too, because again, I'm a guy who's just voted Alabama number 3 in the poll, right? So that roster is really stacked. I just wonder, my gut says if I give Kalen DeBoer and Ryan Grubb some talented quarterbacks and some talented receivers, that's going to work out okay. I think there's a longer term, bigger picture question still to be answered about whether Kalen can recruit in the SEC in the way that is necessary, especially at a time when, Alabama is not going to get the quote unquote Saban discount anymore, right? Where kids basically say like, oh, I just got to come play for Saban because he's going to get me to the NFL, right? So that becomes gone. And like in a world where the talent is probably dispersed a little more thinly across a lot of teams, what does that look like for Alabama? And as you referenced before, at a time when money becomes a bigger factor than any other time, you're right. It's not like Alabama is poor here. They're not a poor school, but can they match up with schools that maybe have a little more resources and can tap into a little bit more revenue through basically, donors and big businesses within their towns? So I do think it's an interesting time for Alabama, and where they are compared to Texas will be pretty interesting to play out over the next couple of years. Yeah, but as you said, the idea that Alabama might disappear or be replaced, maybe that's a bit extreme. Absolutely. Though I might have suggested it.
No. Ralph, great stuff, man. Thanks so much. It's cool to get your insight on how you voted, why you voted, and then how you have viewed this process for so long before actually becoming a voter this year. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Well, we'd love to do it again soon.
Always a pleasure, gentlemen. Thanks a lot.
Appreciate Ralph Russo sticking to the script there on the Higginbotham hotline, not trying to ad-lib any of his answers because
I hope he got – did you email him the script?
Yes.
Perfect.
He had it. Yeah, there's no ad-libbing on this show. Unless you're by yourself, and then you have to.
3 hours of copy.
That's it.
It's just got to
right off the teleprompter that we don't have. But yes, one way or the other, it works. Kind of like yours.
Be a great investment.
It would. Kind of like your CBD store. It always works there. I can try to ad-lib a CBD read for you guys and tell them that they're the largest brick-and-mortar CBD retailer in the world. If you have arthritis or anxiety, you or your pet, they have products that can help you with that. Help your daily routine like better focus, more energy throughout the course of the day. How about weight loss? The Trim by SunMed on the shelves now at your CBD store. First company to have USDA certified organic oil supplements. And they even have 3 locations with great customer service for you. Highway 280 by Bailey Brothers, 150 by the Cajun Cleaver, Trustville just off 459, your CBD store where good health hits home. All right, we'll go around the SEC. Haven't really had a chance to do that yet this show as we got sidetracked. We got off script in the 8 o'clock hour.
That's what
Essentially what happens. When you try to ad lib, that's what happens. Things go south. We'll bring it back north next on Mac and Cube in the morning.
Dark spot today.
All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning.
Get him out of the hole, everybody.
It's 9:30, Tuesday, August 12th, right here on Jox. And I tell you, you think about going around the SEC and kind of what's happening in camp. We know now that Ty Simpson going to be the starter at Alabama. Also, some good news for UAB. they get not only a commitment, but a signature from Colorado transfer offensive tackle Peyton Kirkland, signed with UAB. He was committed to Miami of Ohio earlier this offseason. Before he was at Colorado, he was at Texas. So third, fourth, however you want to count it with commitments, school, but UAB getting a real talent there at offensive tackle and could bolster that offensive line for Trent Dilfer moving forward. How are things going in Austin, Texas for Steve Sarkisian right now, Damian? Let's go check in with Sark. Okay. There it is.
Got him.
Sounds like Texas doing good. Any questions coming out of there?
That's all I needed to hear.
We're good. Okay. Texas looking like they're going to have things figured out. They have had some injuries on the offensive line. Unfortunately, that depth, Greg, is going to be tested, and that's probably, dare I say, our biggest concern with the Longhorns right now?
Without question it is. And I said this yesterday. I don't know how they're ranked number one. Like I'm not saying they shouldn't be top 5. I think they have maybe the fewest questions and the highest ceiling in the SEC. I'm fine with that. But they shouldn't be ranked number 1 based on the question marks. Ohio State shouldn't be 3 based on the question marks. Like, if you really look at it, the fact that Ohio State's 3 and Texas is 1 to me is backwards. Now, we can be optimistic about Arch. We can love their roster. We can love their personnel, wide receiver, and on the defense. They got stars all over the defense. Like, you can love parts of their team, but there are teams out there with much more proven production at very important places, a la Clemson, a la Penn State. I'm just having a hard time. Like, is this number 1 ranking based almost exclusively on the hype surrounding Arch? It has to be.
Not exclusively. No, don't say that. That's way off script.
I think
don't do that.
I'm not. It's not a knock. It's just the reality. I just think that they're getting credit for things that are very much a question. And that's okay. I don't have a problem with that. I just acknowledge that there are legitimate questions surrounding them.
Yeah, I don't know if they're getting credit. I do think from the Arch perspective, there are different positions that are going to help people outweigh concerns other places. Let's talk about LSU's offensive line concerns that we have, which are very real.
100%.
But they have Garrett Nussmeier.
They're also ranked 9th. Big difference between being numero uno.
No, I get it. I get it. I think the one word that you mentioned that probably is aiding where a lot of people view Texas, and I'll just say this, Texas would not be my number 1 team right now.
No.
My number 1 team would be very easy, and it wouldn't be Texas. I would have
State or Clemson?
Clemson would be number 1 for me.
That's who I'd have number 1.
And I'd probably have Penn State 2, and then it would get a little bit more discombobulated after that as to who would be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But when you look at Ryan Wingo, you look at Colin Simmons, what Wisner did last year, Baxter coming back, Ethan Burke going to be back. We know Anthony Hill Jr. We love him. Michael Taft back in the secondary. I think there are enough proven commodities and then enough still that people look at, all right, they were just scratching the surface last year. It allows them, and Arch Manning is going to be that for multiple reasons. 1, we've seen him make some plays in games, and then 2, the last name, yes, is going to help extend that. But I don't think they're there. I don't even think they're there mostly because of him. I think they're there mostly because of how they've recruited, what they've done the last few years, and you lose your starting quarterback, but he's the guy now?
Right.
Yeah, we'll put them there. But I think it's more of the guys we've seen a little bit of that everybody just thinks are going to have a chance to be great. Maybe I know too much, and I'm giving people too much credit. And it is what you say. We will never really know. But I think it's that people look at this roster and say, man, they got 3, 4 guys that could be top 3, top 5 at their positions by the end of the season.
Yes.
Like Wingo could be that. Simmons could be that. Anthony Hill is already that. Maybe even Trey Moore, how he's utilizing a different way this year, could end up being that. Wisner could end up being that. And they obviously think Arch Manning could be that. I'm not going to say that I think he's going to be there just yet. But the O-line concerns are very real. And while they did address the middle of the defensive line concerns again, it doesn't just mean it's going to work as well as it did last year. Those guys last year were great.
Yes.
And probably don't get enough credit for how good they were inside last year. Vernon Broughton was awesome for that defense last year.
They were great.
And no one talked about him. They did, I'm not going to say they did exactly what Sweat and those guys did the year before, but they were pretty darn close. Well, that was 2 years ago.
There wasn't a huge drop-off.
Yeah. It wasn't near the drop-off we thought it was going to be. But it doesn't also just mean it's going to happen that way again this year. So I'm with you. Texas top 5?
Absolutely.
Sure. Top 8 at 7, 8 at worst? Of course. No doubt. Won't argue with any of it. Number 1?
It's too much.
Were you surprised that this is the first time they've been preseason number 1 in the AP?
Yeah.
I would have never guessed that. Who was number 1 the year Vince came back?
SC.
I guess that kind of makes sense.
SC.
Oh, yeah, because they were wire to wire that year, and then Texas beat them.
They didn't stink.
No, they were good. It was a good football team.
You think?
I'm just trying to think of some of the other teams, like some of the Ricky Williams teams. I'm surprised him coming back wouldn't have been number 1.
No, that's why I think that, like, there's this real strange disconnect with Texas. Like, and I look, as someone that grew up a Longhorn fan, like, there's a little bit of a disconnect where the perception of how good they've been is a little bit overstated. Michigan, for example, same situation. Yes, okay, they've been very good for a very long time. They have more wins than anybody in the history of college football. All that can be true, but we must also acknowledge and recognize that Michigan had one co-national championship prior to when they won it 2 years ago, had won in like 60 years. Winning natties is different. And Texas has 4 in their history. So for whatever, and they have 1 since 1970, and that was in 2005 with a transcendent quarterback. So I grew up a Longhorn fan. So like I know the battle that was Texas, but at the top of the sport, the absolute tippy top of the sport, it hasn't always been great. Now, they've won a lot of games. They have tremendous resources, but as far as having done it, having accomplished it, it's not always, the expectation doesn't always actually equal the results to an extent.
Sure.
That's not knocking them. It's just an acknowledgement of fact.
No, and a lot of it makes sense, and you can see where people would go either way with it. But one place that they should definitely go is Bromberg's.
Well, Bromberg's is great. It's where I've been going for a very long time. They're actually renovating the Mountain Brook Village store to improve your experience. It's amazing to know that it's still going to be open, but man, the elevated experience that you're going to get when you walk in the door when they finish this renovation will take that shopping experience to the next level. The sales staff's incredible. The amount of inventory is amazing. You have so many different options, so many different beautiful pieces of jewelry that will be in your family for multiple generations. You want a diamond? Perfect. Bromberg's is the spot to go get a natural diamond that is beautiful and will stand the test of time. So go and check them out in Mountain Brook Village and at the Summit. It's Bromberg's.
All right, when we come back, we'll continue going around the SEC, give you more updates around camps next right here on Jox. Tuesday, August 12th, right here on Jox, Smack and Cube in the morning, 9:42. Listen live online, joxfm.com. Grab the app in your app store, iPhone, Android. You can always download that for free.
Bill Smith Buick GMC is the GMC Dealer of the Year, the national champion of GMC dealers. 5 national championships they've won. You understand why the second you go up there and experience exactly what it is that you want to experience, man, that's second to none service, second to none selection, and the deals are off the charts good. $14,000 off a GMC Sierra SLT. You can get $5,000 off a Buick Encore GX, sporty, economical SUV. You can get it for under $25,000. It's deals like that keep people coming back. That's why 75% of their business is repeat customers. That's because you have a better experience when you shop with Bill Smith. So take the short drive up to Coleman. You'll be glad you did. You can also shop online, have it delivered right to your driveway at BillSmithBuickGMC.com.
All right, so let's continue going around the SEC. We heard from Sark a little bit earlier about how practice went that particular day, but what about the recent scrimmage that the Horns had?
You know, Anthony Smith has had a great camp. I mean, there's a bunch of guys that way. You know, I think Murad Watson, Alex January looked really good. I think we only had 2 guys didn't finish the scrimmage, and that was Nick Brooks and Nick Townsend, and both of them were practiced all day today and were great. So nothing serious. All right, so that's Steve Sarkisian on the scrimmage. C.J. Baxter comes back and is good. Man, that 1-2 punch with him and Wisner could be dangerous for other teams. Speaking of running backs, Billy Napier asked about Jaden Ball. We've tried to warn you guys about this young man. This is his response.
Really, I think early in his career, not much expected from him. I think he probably doubted himself, just having conversations with him. And he had been here 6 months, I think, when we got here. And then his development process started. So I'm really good route runner, and he has unique ball skills. But he's got a great attitude. He's got good energy. He's fun to be around. I think he's a smart player. I just think overall he's very unique for his size to be able to be that explosive.
All right, so that's Billy Napier on Jaden Ball. Going to Fayetteville, Arkansas, Travis Williams on defensive depth and how unique it might be for his group this year.
We have more pieces. We have a lot of ingredients, right? And we have to cook the meal. We got to put the ingredients in the right spot for the meal can be right. But we have the ingredients. Now we got to make sure, okay, it's not mildew, right? Or it's not spoil. What that means, okay, if it's not our standard, if they're not getting to the ball, they're not playing a physical brand of ball, that's not part of our ingredients. So we have the right pieces. We just have to put it all together. So it's been a good deal.
All right, so we mentioned some of that defensive tackle depth with Cam Ball dinged up earlier in camp for Arkansas. Could be a problem, G-Mac, but sounds like Travis Williams likes the depth that his Arkansas defense contains right now.
I think that's a good spot to be in because that was the one thing we were absolutely wondering about, right? Was how deep, how good, how talented. If they lost a guy, could they overcome that loss? That's a question mark for me. I think they had good moments last year. There were also some moments, though, a la against Ole Miss, where it's like, what the heck happened? You know what I mean? So biggest thing for me is constantly going to be about the secondary's growth and improvement. Because secondary's been a real struggle for a long time. If that group can be better, I'm cautiously optimistic. But if they are the same as what they've been, it could be problematic, especially without a terror rushing the passer like they had a year ago in Landon Jackson.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about it. Also, on the last scrimmage, Travis Williams, Arkansas defensive coordinator, how he felt his group fared.
Yeah, so Saturday scrimmage, what we got to do defensively as a whole is just start fast. Got to start a lot faster. Our twos started off, and we didn't start off like we should, right? Not to our standards. The ones go out there and they get a 3 and out, and the next drive was a 4 and out, and then the third down, it was a 3rd and 16, and we gave up an explosive pass. So we got to do better there. Our energy and how you scare offenses is not about the play calls. It's just people just smothering the ball. right? So we have to get to the ball like our life depends on it every snap, no matter who's out there, the 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, it doesn't matter. It's just a standard of defense.
So that's Travis Williams on that Arkansas defense. We'll have more from around the Southeastern Conference on the other side. First, Damien, tell our listeners how they could be a part of the Jox kickoff.
Yeah, celebrate the kickoff to the college football season with us at the Bill Smith Buick GMC Jox kickoff party at Regents Field on Thursday, August 21st. And the only way to go is by winning tickets. This week is the last week of qualifying. So today, to enter to win a pair of tickets for you and a guest, text the keyword GO and your full name to 205-834-9450. Again, the keyword is GO and your full name to 205-834-9450. Winners are drawn and notified daily. For more information, visit joxfm.com.
All right, when we come back, we'll wrap up today's show with a little more from around the SEC and our final thoughts on the first AP poll for this year. Next on Jox. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Appreciate you guys tuning in. If you missed any of the show, go catch it again on YouTube or get the podcast at joxfm.com. We talked a little bit about Auburn quarterbacks before you came in today, Greg. Greg had first day of school for his kids, so he missed first portion of the show. This is Kent Austin, Auburn quarterback coach, discussing the progress of Jackson Arnold in that room.
Benefiting from the fact that we really focused in on what we thought we were going to do well as an offense. We carried that through the offseason, through the spring, through the summer. They got a lot of repetitions on similar concepts. It doesn't necessarily mean that we line up the same way, but conceptually it's the same stuff, right? And I think they've benefited a lot from that. Obviously, we will we'll game plan more specifically, right, for Baylor. But I think our quarterbacks at this stage are handling the offense pretty well. They're making pretty quick decisions, getting the ball in their hand. We've got good skill, which is helping. Defense is throwing a lot at us, and they've adjusted pretty well. Every day it's something new, right, that we have to contend with offensively, and that they have to contend with, behind the center. So pretty pleased where they're at right now.
Have to feel good, Greg, about the defense adding a little bit more, doing a little bit more. At least for me, that's been a concern, and getting the ball out on time. And Christian Clemente told us earlier in the show that there were still some times that hesitation was a small issue for Jackson Arnold, but consistently, I think the messaging has been that he has been on time with most of what he's been asked to do,
which is great. I mean, that's ideal. That's what you want. And if you are progressing in that area, that's been an area of concern from the past. I don't think there's a whole lot to be concerned about, but we had kind of heard the opposite. Sound like he was being a little more decisive. Sound like he was taking some risks, which is what I want to hear, considering the last thing that we want to see, especially maybe with the offensive line, is still a work in progress at the moment. Probably be pretty helpful to get to the point and where you're just cutting it loose and trusting your guys. So with that group of wide receivers, trust it. I mean, if they're covered, they're open, rip.
Well, it can be helpful to have 4 dealerships in one destination, unmatched selection and savings when searching for a new vehicle. Royal Buick GMC, Royal Volkswagen, Royal Automart, Volvo Cars of Vestavia Hills, all at the corner of I-65 and Highway 31 in Vestavia. From sales to service, the team at Royal can help you find that new ride to keep you rolling. When it's time to start searching for your next vehicle, all 4 stores in one location means you can get behind the wheel for a test drive without driving all over town. When they say for every ride, there's Royal, they mean it. If you're shopping for that very first ride or your dream ride, go see my friends at Royal Buick GMC, Royal Volkswagen, Royal Automart, Volvo Cars of Vestavia Hills, all at the corner of I-65 and Highway 31 of Vestavia, online at royalautomotive.net. Did not ad-lib the majority of that. Did ad-lib a small portion of that.
Look at you.
For the most part, stuck to the script there.
Stay
for
hot.
That read. AP poll, biggest issue you had, Texas being number 1?
Probably Texas won. I think A&M at 19's outrageous.
Too low?
Yeah, they with what they have back. I mean, I'm real optimistic about how they're going to be built. I think Auburn being 38 is ridiculous. I think SC being 30 is crazy. But other than that, I mean, it's not bad. I mean, those are kind of the main. Baylor being 28 to me feels a little bit.
Yeah, I never
ridiculous.
know what to make of the, when they get to the teams after number 25, those receiving votes, because I don't know how many people just kind of shut it down after that.
And they might, but
yeah, it's one thing we probably should have asked Ralph is like, how did you used to view teams after number 25? Like, okay, they got some votes, but do you think most people get to 25 and they're just like, who cares? Just write some teams down. Like, did they win this week? Great. You're 28. Doesn't matter. I don't know. I don't know what the viewpoint is for a lot of people. Now, some of those got votes in the actual top 25.
Right.
So that's why they're viewed the way that they are. You can be viewed in a better way. You can see things in a better way more clearly from Game Day Men's Health. If you are looking to lose weight, if you're looking to get rid of brain fog, if you're looking for better sleep, better energy, Game Day Men's Health can help you. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com right now. Sign up for a free consultation. See, I got off script there, and that's why you missed the word. You got to stick to, you can't ad lib. Free consultation with a free PSA test, free testosterone test. They'll give you a baseline of your health, let you know where you are, tell you what they can do for you. Mention Mac and Cube and save 10% on any service that they offer at Game Day Men's Health. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com today and see what they can do for you. Appreciate Paul Finebaum, Christian Clemente, Ralph Russo joining the show. Tomorrow we're going to go to Starkville. Catch up with Steve Robertson there on how things are going for Mississippi State. And as we do every 8 o'clock hour of every day, we'll go around the SEC, give you updates from camp, let you know what we think the coaches really mean based on what they're saying in some of the pressers after practice. Ty Simpson, your starter at Alabama. Greg says that's good. So you should all be at ease for the rest of the day. And just whatever you do, try not to ad-lib your day. Because we know what happens when you do. You become boring, and nobody wants to be boring. Don't ad-lib, don't be boring, and everything will work itself out. 3-Man Front next. We're back tomorrow, 7 to 10 a.m.